Fellow Ghanaians, I come into your home this morning live from our studios in Kokomimli. This is the AM show with me, Sweetie Abochi and Benjamin Akakbo. Now, on today's edition of the show, I'll bring you the news that matters. And after that, we'll get into the news review. Now, development economist and senior lecturer at the University of Development Studies, Dr. Michael Ayamga, will be our guest for the news review. After that, we get into AM Sports. Muftar Nabila Abdullahi will present a segment and bring you everything, the latest happening in the world of sports. After that, we get into the big stories. Now, it's no longer a speculation. Majority Leader and Member of Parliament for the Swami constituency in the Shanti region, Osei Chei Mensah-Bonsu, has formally relinquished his role as a leader of the Majority Caucus in Parliament. We understand he willingly offered to step down during a meeting of the NPP caucus in Parliament and the executive, including President Akufo-Addo. We've got this on our plate today. On AM Exclusive today, we'll speak to Liberia's Vice President, Jeremiah Kong. 24 years ago, a police officer saved his life here in Ghana. And 24 years later, Jeremiah Kong, he had been searching for this man to thank him, but he's found him a couple of weeks ago. That fascinating story airs on AM Exclusive with Benjamin Akakbo. We've also got AM on Wheels today. Now, today we are in Lejokuku constituency. We hear from the constituents on what their pertinent issues are and get answers from the authorities. After that, we'll host a man seeking to unseat Afenyo Markin. James Kofi Annan is a National Democratic Congress's parliamentary candidate for Efutu. He'll share his vision with us and tell us how he plans to oust Afenyo Markin. And then we'll come to you to have your say. So, fellow Ghanaians, this is the lineup for today's show on the AM show on JoyNews, your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. My name is Sweetie Abochi. It's time now for the news. Let's get into that. This is the AM News. Let's get into the details. In a second part of JoyNews feature focusing on the struggles of the National Health Insurance Scheme, we turn our attention to the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital, where the scheme has left many patients stranded at the hospital. The scheme has over the years served as a good intervention, but there have been instances where National Health Insurance Scheme subscribers purchase medicines that should be covered under the scheme. Clinton Yabua has today's feature.
Access to quality health care is no more a luxury ordinary people cannot afford, following the revival of the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Following its establishment in 2003, the National Health Insurance Scheme was intended to provide equitable access and financial coverage for basic health care services to
We have also extended NHIS coverage.
This is the Vice President, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, confirming over 61% increase in NHIS registration numbers since 2017. But do these numbers mean anything at all, especially with the level of quality of services being provided in various hospitals across the country?
Outside of the imposing gates of the Accident and Emergency Unit of the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital and the waiting room of the KNUST Hospital, a restless crowd gather with their faces imprinted with worry and desperation. These are not just visitors earnestly waiting for good news concerning their sick relatives, but patients and family members perturbed with medical bills they cannot foot. Gifty Boache almost shed a tear talking about her sick mother. She has spent days at the hospital, banking hopes on the National Health Insurance Scheme, which she describes as stale.
MYA, yes, Rabbi, on no more, no MYA insurance, no, and that's a uniscapa, now BB Yale, and now BB, and one saw a dawa woo. They buy her pan and be who says, and yet him, sir. Ghana, I didn't, wouldn't be pa, wouldn't just a wouldn't be a BB one once a woo.
The scheme has become stale. Now, if you do not have money, you won't receive quality health care. Why? We have to pay for almost all the services received.
Oh, yes, so bad, the Mawania, the Mau boom. Eko, baby, I a cotolet, a jiska, baby, I Unco Senior Maya jiska, just a BBA, O Pake or Kaka, a jihuska. O Yalena, ya dini pana bana pake kaka, a jihuska. El broso.
There have been several complaints about the quality of NHIS service provided by some health facilities across the Ashanti region. Some individuals are reporting long delays in receiving treatment due to not having a health insurance card. They disclose instances of lack of essential medication due to inadequate coverage of expenses. These required subscribers to purchase medicines that they expected should be covered under the scheme.
Look at the number of drugs they have prescribed for me. Why would we be buying all sorts of drugs if it's working?
Oh yeah, Juma. I do you free now. Last will register there. Oh, more yamo. Last will no base animal now. Oh, yamo. Kato drew.
They took 20 cedis before giving me a bed in the ward here in Kumasi South Hospital.
Bed no 20 Ghana cedis without receipt. They to me, when they cover me, be
say, Mamma, and I be the neighbor has a much as beautiful Bunkow, and a bassy, a buyer, almost say, and panico, and pass short. Must I make it's not and a Baham when you marry 6 o'clock. A Bonaju, 1 o'clock, and Pama, Mammy, Albert, a look rumpuno, the Tieska.
I brought my mother, but we had to pay a bribe of 100 Ghana cedis before getting a bed. I have bought all sorts of drugs for 2,000 Ghana cedis.
Health insurance, and yes, I said, no, which your man in Nigeria. And yet more has health insurance, yet more has but we know to do almost 50 Monday in payment, but to do a 2,000.
For these aggrieved individuals, the struggling National Health Insurance Scheme is not just a health administrative obstacle, but a point of evidence of poor health systems and the inflicting reality of the poor. This is Samuel Tay Wayu.
Nibo and health insurance cover. And a beer card. I say, draw any boy, didn't say beer.
The ones that are given free are not expensive, but the expensive ones I have to buy. This is my card, and I don't see any need.
Because health insurance has been the Kitami. The Siami Bar near Cover Crown, which movie and say, anyway, or much trade drama may be 7 cotton. I in Yakakitwa over 33,000. We never could health insurance to be uncovered.
According to the 2023 medicine list of the National Health Insurance, appraised by a specialist group, the currently reviewed medicines list contains a total of 548 formulations. Childhood immunizations, tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS, and mental health care are exempted from the scheme. The document disclosed that executive management of the NHIA has directed and approved a 20% increase in the prices of medicines as a stopgap measure to mitigate the recent increases in prices of medicines on the open market. A health official who pleaded anonymity explains the hospitals are compelled to top up prices of drugs and medical consumables due to price disparities in the open market price and the bench price covered by the NHIS. The situation seemingly grants profit-seeking hospitals a chance to charge patients more than required as top-ups.
Insurance has its own pricing for each drug. If that is not the price that the hospital gets on the market, that means the patient has to pay for the extra amount. Because insurance price is usually so low that you go to the market for the equipment that you need for the procedure, and it will be way above the price the insurance is going to pay. So you have to add the difference for the patient to pay. And some hospitals actually add extra for profits.
He further disclosed underfunding of several hospitals and bureaucratic hurdles of NHIS medicine administering guidelines are engulfing several facilities.
You when they list the drugs, it means you have to stick to what they've said. Insurance sometimes they will reject it entirely and flag it as wrong, so they won't pay because they have specific treatment guides that you have to follow. If you go out of that, they have so many rules, so the hospitals would have to find ways and means to make up for all of that. Insurance is a stickler for rules.
Efforts to reach the Ashanti Regional Health Insurance Office have proven unsuccessful, but health officials are proposing an increase in premium drugs covered by the NHIS.
I believe funds to facilities should be released on time for them to be able to get the needed consumables for work. I also think that premium should be increased for especially those who can afford, those in the formal sector whose deductions are made straight from their SNP contributions.
Universal health coverage in Ghana says that all persons should and must receive timely access to health care. It is then apparent that a national entity such as the National Health Insurance accrues some attention to the struggling portions in order to improve service and ensure that we achieve the universal health coverage targets. Reporting for JoyNews, my name is Clinton Yeboah.
Right, so now Chief Executive Officer of the Mental Health Authority is asking stakeholders to ensure psychiatrists in the country are given the best conditions of service so they do not leave to search for greener pastures. Dr. Pinamana Pao is optimistic psychiatric nurses who want to leave the country would also be given the needed attention so they stay to give the best care to their clients.
When I came into training, there were about 12 psychiatrists or so. Now we've been able to move to 73 psychiatrists. I think what we should now be looking at is how to prevent ourselves from losing these psychiatrists. I think the director of Accra Psychiatric Hospital mentioned it. Now the UK is offering them positions there to move. And I can say that by the end of this year, we may lose about 20 of them. If we lose, then we have an issue. How are we then going to be able to do all these outreach clinics, specialist outreach clinics, or get psychiatrists into the regions that we want and all that? So it's something that the authority and Ministry of Health is looking at. How do we retain the psychiatrists that we are training?
Away from that, Board Chairman of Ghana Grid Company, Ambassador Cabral Blay Amihe, has indicated that the Gridco has an ultimate vision to contribute to the West African power pool policy of providing sustainable and reliable power in the sub-region. He says currently Gridco is supplying power to Togo, Benin, La Côte d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso. Ambassador Blay Amihe spoke when the French ambassador to Ghana paid a working visit to one of Gridco's facilities in the northern region.
Ambassador is on a 3-day working visit to the northern region. As part of his itinerary, His Excellency Jo-Aman Niaboso visited the Gridco staff station at Adoubli, one of projects funded by the government of France through the French Development Agency at a cost of $173.9 million and an European Union grant of €5 million under the 330 kV Kumasi-Bolgatanga transmission project. Speaking at the event, Ambassador Cabral Blay Amihe said the project has positively enhanced power delivery to the expanding Tamale metropolis and beyond.
This project, as also emphasized, has positively enhanced power delivery to the expanding metropolis of Tamale and beyond the borders of Ghana to Burkina Faso. Residents in all the regions and communities which the 330 kV transmission line traverse from the Ashanti region to mid-Ghana and the northern regions of Ghana can bear testimony to the game-changing nature of the project.
The Chief Executive Officer of Gridco, Ebenezer Kofi Aseye, said Gridco is able to export up to 200 megawatts of power.
But I want to place emphasis on the A&B funding up to $173.9 million. That gives us the 330 kV all the way up now. megawatt. But Kenya came to us. They want minimum 250 on the upside up to about 300 megawatts, and it's something that we are having engagement to facilitate that. They are even willing, because losses are going up, they are willing to sponsor me putting an LDC in Nayagnia to help with reducing the losses and also exporting more.
Ambassador Jules Amania also said the investment is the largest the French government has made in Ghana, adding that the project is one project that benefits the people directly.
The Ghana substation is also very special and important as it is one of these projects that directly can benefit to the Ghanaian, but also beyond, to some, from Ghana to the north of the country and beyond, because we talk about Burkina Faso and Mali, especially Sunaberi, Burkina Faso, you provide you add a detail very important, not only 150 megawatt, but sometimes 200 megawatt. I'm an engineer, and it was one of my expertise, electricity. So Ghana somehow built a CCGT for Burkina Faso. So we said that we are glad somehow France is a part of this.
In other news, Vice Chancellor for the University for Development Studies, Professor Seydou Al-Hassan, says Ghana is yet to see results of investment made by government in climate change, water and food systems. According to him, though governments have put in several strategies, the desired result is yet to be seen. Martina Bugri reports.
West Africa Center for Water, Irrigation and Sustainable Agriculture was established in 2019 by the University for Development Studies as a semi-autonomous center of excellence to undertake cutting-edge research and training in irrigation, drainage, water resource management, sustainable agriculture, among others. Speaking at the 4th Riyadh 2024 conference organized by WAWISA, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Seydou Al-Hassan, said, with several other stakeholders joining the fight, the country is yet to see results.
When you talk about climate change, and then you also look at the issue of water, then food systems, and one health, I think the government have been doing severally well in terms of combining different strategies to fight these problems. But we've been waiting for the results for so long. Civil society organizations have also joined the struggle, and we still are waiting for the results. Even we have picked up community members to join. They have joined, and we are still waiting for the results. Now look at this. Now we are talking about centers of excellence in Africa. Centers of excellence, perhaps they are coming to change the narrative. So what I'm going to say is that if our centers of excellence fail us, then that will be a doom for Africa. Centers of excellence, we don't have to fail.
Director of WAWISA, Professor Felix Abagali, said WAWISA's program implementation is 80% of what they are set to do.
The support of all the aforementioned and other stakeholders, WAWISA progress of implementation so far has been 80% with respect to what we have set to do under the African Centers of Excellence for Development Impact project. We are actually above the Africa region average, and we are determined to hit the top. Mr. Chairman, WAWISA provides scholarship support and trains world-class graduates at the master's and PhD level, and also undertakes tailor-made short courses and conduct high-impact research that addresses the development needs of the West African sub-region and the African continent largely. WAWISA UDS has since its establishment supported 192 PhD and master's students, 127 of them being regional students, from the African region, and 65 of them from Ghana.
The municipal chief executive for Sanerigu, Yakubu Ahmed Mohamed, said climate change is no longer a distant threat to the country and called on all to support in the fight.
Climate change is no longer a distant threat, but a present reality that is impacting every aspect of our lives. The consequences of a warming planet are far-reaching, affecting our water sources, food production. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most far-reaching implications of climate change is its effects on water resources. Access to uncontaminated and dependable water is vital for human well-being, agriculture, and economic growth. However, we are grappling with escalating water scarcity, triggered by reduced rainfall patterns, depleted rivers and streams, as well as unsustainable management of our water resources. It is therefore imperative that we prioritize measures aimed at conserving our drinking water supply.
So away from climate change, let's turn our attention now to education. The Education Directorate of Birim North have received teaching and learning materials from an NGO in Tiamwa Foundation. The NGO believes 10 television sets, 10 boxes of kids' playing materials, 10 pen drives loaded with programs, and 50 boxes of sanitizers will enhance education in rural communities within the area. There's more in the following report.
In Tiamwa Foundation, a non-governmental organization which supports education and health, has presented some teaching and learning materials worth 50,000 Ghana cedis to 5 schools in the Birim North District Educational Directorate. Shiva Opong Panaheni, Programs Director of the foundation, tells JoyNews that the gesture is to enhance teaching and learning within the district, especially the reading ability of school children. He therefore urged the directorate to take good care of the materials.
The schools in the Birim North district, these schools happen to be a Kwasi Methodist school, a Kwasi SD, a Kwasi experimental, and then there is also New Birim Islamic, and then Zakapia DA. The items are 10 pieces of television sets, 10 boxes of assorted learning materials, 500 pieces of hand sanitizers, and then 10 pieces of USB drives loaded with kids program. The total cost of the items is 50,000 Ghana cedis. The purpose of this donation is to help improve learning outcomes at the kindergarten level. We've been doing this for a very long time. In fact, we started it about 4 years ago. The general purpose of introducing this program is to help improve the standard of education at the kindergarten level within the Birim North district. And so far, we've been very impressed with the outcome of education at that level.
Receiving the items, the District Education Director, Charles Kofi Echampong, expressed gratitude to the Tiamwa Foundation for supporting education in the district while pleading with teachers to make good use of the materials.
Actually gives us a lot of joy to have a partner like the Tiamwa Foundation. They have always heeded to our cries. They come down to study and get to know our needs. And in due course, they come. And really, they come at the right time. So these items have come at the right time. The early childhood, level or unit is proud of you actually. And they're going to work very hard. I want to pledge on their behalf that we will do more than we expect us even to do. so that will also motivate you to continue to give us these items.
And now, Buela Land Farms, an agricultural NGO in the Nkranza North Enclave, has handed over a solar-powered water system to the Boamadie Basic School in Bono East. Assistant Director and Project Manager of the Buela Land Farms, Longo Poku Carl, is hopeful this will improve student enrollment across the area. Anas Sabit has more.
Education is critical for breaking the cycle of poverty, and yet over half of the world's population lack access to safe water, and this has serious effects on students' academic performance and attendance rates. Here in Broma, a farming community in the Nkranza North district of the Bono East region, school pupils miss precious class hours to go to drink water from their homes or the nearby stream due to the lack of drinking water in the school. Endurance Nana Techua is the district director of education from Nkranza North. She narrates how the situation is affecting school enrollment across the area.
Sometimes you come to the school, you meet some of the pupils going home. Why are you going home? Madam, we are going to drink water. It means they don't have water. The headmaster even said that at times they struggle with the town people for water, and they use their own pocket money to pay.
To solve this age-long challenge, Buela Land Farms, an agric NGO in the area as part of its corporate social responsibility, is today handing over a solar-powered borehole to solve this critical challenge. Longo Poku Carl is the assistant director and project manager for the water project.
There's something the school children requested for. What has been an issue in the community. As an NGO, we decided to involve the community, especially for school kids, to get water. So learning and teaching and learning will be successful in the community.
Headmaster of the school, Semenshak Dompress Stephen, who was thankful to the NGO for the gesture, appealed to government to introduce the school feeding program in the area to boost enrollment as school pupils trek to their parents' farms to eat during break hours.
What we realized was that because of water problem and feeding program, we have the enrollment is always going down. So we thought it wise to inform the authorities or the community. But when we had it, it's now boosting enrollment. But we are left with the feeding program. The children have to go to their parents on the farm, eat before they come to the school after break. So it's normally restored classes. So we thank them very much, and we are hoping the feeding program will also come to our area.
Mrs. Endurance Nana Techua, however, have a quick advice for parents across her district.
My advice is that I also come from a very rural area, and my mother has never been to school before, but she has educated me, and now look at my position. So their words also can become, even their position can be more than what I am experiencing now. So I'm advising them that they should stop buying funeral clothes and other things and support their words. In future, they will reap what they have sown.
Anas Sabit, JoyNews, Broma.
That ends it for the AM News on the AM Show. Now we begin a series of insightful conversations and engagement that matter to you, starting with a news review with Benjamin Akakbo. He's joined by development economist and senior lecturer at the University for Development Studies. Dr. Michael Ayamga is our guest. Please stick with us.
It's always good to have you join the conversation right here on the AM Show, especially as we hit that segment where we discuss the newspapers. Of course, Sweetie Abochi in the lead, and a comfortable lead, if you like, on the AM Show. But time now for us to discuss the salient matters from the newspapers. But before we get into that, and before I tell you who my guest is, let me let you know that Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helps us bring you this segment every weekday morning. And if you've not paid attention to certain aspects of your health, you're walking that fine line. Your health is your wealth, as we usually put it. So if you're a man, and especially if you've hit your late 30s or 40 and above mostly, and you've never checked out your prostate and what is happening there, you could be in line for a rude shock. I'm not praying for that, but if you don't know, who knows what could be happening there. If you're a woman and you've never checked out your fertility, you're planning on giving birth, or you've given birth before, you want more children, and you think, oh, all things being equal, you should be able to produce. That's not how it works. Again, you do know that a large percentage of women develop fibroids. It's just that in some cases, it doesn't develop to the point where it becomes a problem. In order to know, why don't you just pass by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic? And that's what they're offering you, these 2 screenings for free. If you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Reach out to them at their branches. Now, here in Accra, they're at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronum Abwehian, behind the Angel Educational Complex. Takrade, Anaji State, Tema, Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and the Siama and Zema. Their call lines, 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review. Joining me this morning, I have a development economist, senior lecturer at the University for Development Studies. You know him, I know him. Our man, Dr. Michael Ayamga, is the guest. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Ben. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to see you.
It's good to see you too. I see there's a bit of a different background today. I like the background. I like your background. Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
So a number of matters have happened between, I always do this, the last time we spoke and today. What would you like to talk about this morning to set the tone for the conversations we're about to have?
I would say maybe the reshuffling. We have some people out, new set of people in. Is this whether a step backwards? So I think it's something worth commenting on. What I feel is we have brought in a team at the last minute that cannot even get the opportunity to look into their own policy. The finance minister, for example, may never get to present a full budget, and we are expecting them to turn things around. So I felt that first, that was an exercise in futility. Secondly, you have brought in people, many of whom we are thinking are not the strong power brokers within the party, or either deputy ministers or people in the periphery. So their inability to exert some authority on the already established brand names within the party and its structures, and therefore be able to resist some pressures from without, is a problem. So I am particularly worried that we did this reshuffle at the last minute. I have been happy and sad for my very good friend, Mohamed Amin Anta. We know each other. I know him to be a very good scholar, technocrat, and somebody, if he had was brought in early, would have done things a bit more differently than Ken Oforiatta did them. And he coming at this time, and we not getting the opportunity to really test his mettle, is something that makes me sad. I'm happy he's become.
But he's still been given the position, no matter what. He can prove something. He's already started talking about the GRA, for example, exceeding their revenue targets and all of that. He can do something.
I know Anta, just the way we call him, and even back his days at school and when he was MC in Tamale, Anta was someone who would reach across board, look for ideas. And even when you had presiding members and assemblymen at his back, he would tell, okay, let me see how I can keep them quiet, but we have to achieve something. So he always reached out for ideas. And if we had an Honorable Amin Anta maybe 2 years ago, he would have done this IMF thing earlier. In fact, if he was finance minister, I can tell you for sure that because he was very consultative, he would have gone to the IMF way earlier, maybe by 2019. It only shows that the president he knows how to appoint a good team, but he just wasn't interested in getting them in place. Because to be fair, this is a more diverse team. I say it is a team of gleaners because they are not coming to implement their own policy. Their Commonwealth resources are gone. So it's a gleaning squad, if you ask me. And many of them were deputy ministers and probably working under some of the ministers that were moved. So it's also a cabinet of amoberes. You realize that at the end of the day, they have little they can do on their own with very little resources to pursue them. But it just shows that the president, if he was actually up to having a cabinet that was independent, that was more focused on the job rather than policing various quarters within the party, he could have appointed a cabinet. And while we had that in place all this while, when Ghanaians were talking and worried that things were not going well and the president ignored them, members of parliament tried to remove the finance minister severally and allowed him to go on, secure the deal, almost commit all the funds that are available plus those that are likely to come in future. And then you bring a utility player like my good friend and asking him to perform magic. First of all, if he decides to change contractual agreements now, not sign off on some documents, he's going to be hanged. So he's between a rock and a hard place, even though I know him to be someone who could have achieved a lot for this country. It's rather unfortunate we are bringing him at this time when his hands are tied behind him, a very heavy engine block hung to his neck, and he's on a boat, threatened to be pushed underwater if he goes any other way than I agreed to. So I pray for Hunter that at least he's able to hold the fort until a substantive government comes in. But I don't think he will get to read a budget. I'm quite sure even in the unlikely event that the MPP wins, he will not be made a minister. If Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia can commit that in the unlikely event that he becomes a president, he will appoint Mohamed Amin Atta as the finance minister to continue, I can say this country is simultaneous.
You're saying even if he, in the unlikely event that he can become president, are you writing off the vice president? Are you writing him off at this point? You never know. Like Sir John said, fear delegates, but sometimes fear voters too.
You know, sometimes we just engage in the sarcasm just for the talking sake. But I have been saying that the vice president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is on the quest looking for a running mate, and he's actually looking for his replacement because I think that the deck is stacked against him. It must be something out of the ordinary for him to become a president. Yes, he is vice president. He can ride on the wings of incumbency and try to pull up an upset, but then it will be an upset. And if he doesn't win, his running mate becomes the front runner for 2028. And that is why they are lining up behind him, going down on their knees and begging him. I don't think they are doing that to be vice president. They are looking for the opportunity to project and market themselves. And should Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia not make it, he then falls way behind the queue, and his running mate and those he has projected in this next electioneering phase will become the front runners of the party. So it's a Game of Thrones out there, and everybody is playing it well. And I expect that at the end of the day, I believe Ghanaians will send a resounding message to politicians and everybody that if you mismanage this country, we'll come at you. I want that to happen so that nobody takes this country for granted. But I also think that if I'm the vice president now and I'm having to select a running mate, I'll look for someone who wants to be a vice president rather than someone who has presidential ambitions. Because his chance of coming back like from current President Akufo-Addo did 3 times is going to be narrowly close if he doesn't win the election and he has a power broker within the party as his running mate. He's done and dusted.
All right. Well, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts there. Let's quickly get into the newspapers, find out what they have to say. We'll start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Government committed to resolving Ahmed Swale's murder, Attorney General assures. I mean, we've beaten down, dusted the story, but of course the Daily Graphic still brings it in here. The Attorney General has said, listen, we don't even have a proper docket. No proper docket has been presented by the police CID, among other things. Nothing worth trying anybody over. Daily Graphic drags Transport Ministry to RTI Commission. More people with higher education unemployed. That's according to a Ghana Statistical Service report. Ahead of 2024 elections, avoid hate speech. Peace Council tells political parties. Now on the back page, contractor locks school over unpaid services, and burial rites of Sunyanehene announced. So I'll start with that story about a contractor. A contractor yesterday locked out learners and teachers of the Achim Asene Roman Catholic primary school in the eastern region over unpaid services for the school project. The contractor, Konto Owusu-Ajekum, said his appeal for the relevant authorities to redeem the cost of his services for the construction of the school had remained unheeded. In the morning of yesterday, he locked the over 300 learners and their teachers from the classrooms, leading to a standoff with the chief executive of the district assembly, Alex Inkum. Indeed, it took the physical intervention of officials of the Asene Manso Akroso District Directorate of Education to prevent full-scale fisticuffs between Mr. Inkum and Mr. Owusu-Ajekum over the locking of the school. The DCE informed on the phone about the incident, arrived at the scene and found the learners and their teachers stranded on the school compound as the contractor had locked them out because the Ghana Education Trust Fund had not paid him for the project he completed in 2020. The DCE threatened to forcibly open the school for the pupils and teachers to get access to the facility, but the contractor, accompanied by his sons, prevented him from doing so, resulting in an exchange of words as tempers threatened to hit the roof. It said that Wahala never they finish for this country. In recent times, we were also told about schools that had blackouts because the ECG had, taken off or disconnected their lights. This, of course, is a primary school, GET fund related, but then with all of these in the educational sector, I don't know. But I'll give you an opportunity to react to that. Just hold for me. Let me add this one. Ahead of 2024 elections, avoid hate speech. Peace Council tells political parties. So the National Peace Council has called on political parties to avoid hate speech and the use of intemperate language in the 2024 electioneering campaign. That, it said, would ensure that the country remained peaceful after this year's elections so that the citizenry could go about their business without hindrances. Quoting them, our admonition to the political parties is for them to use temperate language in whatever they say to ensure that at the end of the elections, the nation will still be peaceful. The board chairman of the MPC, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, said. Any reactions to these two stories before we look at other stories?
As you are reading the story about this contractor, I'm shaking my head.
Why?
What kind of... Are we in a banana republic? We need to maybe get the facts right. Did the contractor complete the project? Did he duly hand over the project to the Ghana Education Service? If that happens, anytime he enters there, he's an intruder, and the security services should have picked him up by now. I cannot even imagine.
But we are told the edifice is there and he's not been paid since 2020. It also reminds me, actually, let me chip in, of some traffic lights. You would realize that some of them are not functioning. Do you know what? Sometimes, do you know what the case is? Some people have been contracted to do certain things and they have not been paid. So there's a way of locking the traffic lights. There's a locking system. It's happened right here in Accra. And they are able to do that. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everything is breaking down in this country. The institutions are breaking down. So people think that government only understands the language of violence and non-compliance. And that is why you have these behaviors coming on. And I was just saying, I can't imagine that I'm at work and I hear that somebody has gone to take my kids out. I don't know what I would do if I get there. And you also realize that it's scary that he is an intruder, even though he constructed the premises. If he hands it over to Ghana Education Service, from that point on, he is an intruder if he enters that place. And I'm shocked that he is still working. Maybe it is the usual Ghanaian thing that the thing was not concluded. It wasn't completed, and we moved in as work was going on. Under that arrangement, he probably still has some control over the process. But if he handed this thing over, raised a certificate, and he has not been, they are laid down procedures for recovering money owed to people in this country. We have our courts and our legal system that can handle that. To take matters into your own hands and go endanger the lives of people's wards because you have not been paid is way, way overboard. But you see, there is no smoke without fire. You realize that resources come in, and this government picks and selects who should be paid and who should not. And there are some maybe party-friendly or friends of ministers and their friends who get paid, and the rest are left way behind the queue. So they feel that they have to do something. It's because the institutions are not working, as I've always maintained, that there is no law and order, there is no due process, there is no meritocracy. So nobody gets a term that he has to wait for. If you go to buy anything, you stay in the queue. When it's your turn, you get served. This government doesn't know that. It can pick you from way back the queue and settle you and leave you because they think that you are not directly owned by somebody who wants also power. So yes, it is lawless behavior. It is untoward, but I think that if you have a system that does not follow any due process and is haphazard like we have now, we are going to have these things going on. But nonetheless, I believe the security agencies need to act. They need to get to the bottom of the matter. If anybody has constructed anything, handed it over, it becomes state property, and tampering with it is against the law, and the fellow must be dealt with regardless of whether he's a contractor or not. But hey, here's the system. If they didn't get the contract through due process, they probably were sold the contract by somebody and they executed it, and you are not paying them. People have to survive. I know somebody just 3 blocks here who constructed a whole lot of things, and now you get to his house and he's drinking porridge. This was a very rich man I'm talking about. He's drinking porridge. And the other day, I tell me, Mike, can you believe that this is what I'm taking for lunch? And he's owed millions of Ghana cedis, and this government is not paying and turning them into pulp. So at a certain point in time, when you are faced between the choice of dying and doing something crazy, I think you choose something crazy. So that's why they have done.
And if I may, on that, it's not just that. You know, for example, the National Health Insurance Scheme and facilities that often would give out medication and all of that. I was speaking to someone recently who is owed about 13 million Ghana cedis. Services rendered, drugs given out, and now the person doesn't want to give out anymore because they are not paying me. You know, stuff like that. It becomes problematic.
Every day you meet people at the airport, they are holding guinea fowls, smokes, and other things, going to work the Ministry of Finance from office to office. You have to distribute a significant chunk of what is owed you before you are even considered for a payment. I think that so that is my problem. I say things as they are. I don't have
I'm not even questioning that. That's another angle the person told me of. To help him recoup his money, someone said he had to pay part of the money.
Yes, a lot of it, and it's just, and you see the problem is that they demand that upfront. They don't even pay you for you to come and say, oh, thank you. That way to give you the opportunity to work with a clear conscience that you are showing appreciation. No, here they let you pay upfront. So you have contractors now who have completed projects going around begging for money to go and settle people so they can pay them. And even they are not guaranteed that after settling them, they get paid.
Exactly.
Where we are as a nation. And that's why I say that if for nothing at all, we need some time for the institutions to reboot, for some sanity to be restored, for new players to come, at least to take them 2-3 years before they start behaving this way. It will give the system where it refreshes up. It is unfortunate we are in this place. But Ben, you've been quite important here.
So on these next matters, we are left with practically about 10 minutes, so we have to speed up with the responses. So you go ahead, but just make it a bit brief, Dr. Yamga.
Yes, I think that the ECG sometimes have to understand that, you see, if the chief's cows enter the chief's rice farm, you are faced with a serious dilemma. Do you kill the cows or you just drive them out? Every laws there is going to affect the government. You have government institutions that most of the time government is not up to speed with providing them subventions and resources so that they can pay their electricity bills. You go to disconnect them, and sometimes hospitals, clinics, people that need electricity to keep and save lives. You have ECG adopting this Rambo style way of operations and going to disconnect. The government of Ghana owes 50 billion. What are we doing? So it's not that the people are different from the country they live in. Everybody owes. Government is restructuring debts. What do you think would be the position of individuals and institutions who have not received government allocations for several months going into years? So to normally have this thing going on, I believe is a huge problem. Let me be honest with you. We are not going to get to the point where many of these state institutions are going to be able to pay realistic electricity tariffs at quite reasonable times or at periods that will allow the ECB to operate. We need to get to that point where we say, okay, some people should not pay for electricity, institutions, because government have to be paying directly from resources. And I think that it is not fair to go and punish individuals, institutions, just because you want to appear to be working. We know that, yes, they owe electricity, but it's on paper. Balance it. Government owes government. I think that the ECG should look elsewhere and allow sanity to prevail in these institutions. It is one too many, and sometimes you are not able to turn back the clock of time to reverse the damage that this power outage is caused to institutions. The earlier we face the music, the better. That's what I would say on this matter. Yeah.
All right. Let's get into some other stories now. More people with higher education unemployed, that's according to a Ghana Statistical Service report, and more educated Ghanaians cannot find work to do, although they are available to work, a study by the Ghana Statistical Service has revealed. Almost a quarter of persons, representing 22.3%, who experienced an unemployment spell for a 21-month period from January 2022 to September 2023, had completed or graduated from tertiary institutions. While almost 48% of persons experiencing unemployment spells had completed secondary education. The GSS study defined unemployment spells as an uninterrupted period within which a person had stayed unemployed, although he had the capacity and the willingness to work. Now, in other stories, low participation of women in politics threat to development. That's according to the Women Manifesto Coalition. I am in agreement with them. Government committed to resolve Ahmed Swale's murder. I've already looked into that bit. Mahama to address NDC's policy dialogue tomorrow, and the leadership of the NDC in collaboration with the NDC Social Democracy Lab and NDC Policy Think Tank is to host a national policy dialogue that focuses on the 24-hour economy and prioritizing the policy proposal to transform and rebuild Ghana. I feel that there are many more questions as well that the former president has to answer in respect of the 24-hour economy. I've already said that I'm in full support of it, just as I am in full support of free SHS, is the application. So to avoid another free SHS situation, 24-hour economy, fine. But the implementation, it's not enough to say we'll give incentives and we'll do this. What will go into it? We need more minutiae when it comes to planning so that it's clearer. It's like going into an exam where you've just studied a little of this, a little of that, and a little of that. It can be difficult. But when you've covered all the bases, it is more comprehensive. That's all I am saying. And then there is this story. Daily Graphic drags Transport Ministry to RTI Commission. Move to secure updates on proposed Ghana Airlines. So the Daily Graphic has petitioned the Right to Information Commission over the refusal of the Ministry of Transport to provide updates on the yet-to-be-established national carrier. The information was requested in September last year under the RTI Act 2018 989. In its petition, the Daily Graphic explained that the move had become necessary because the ministry had frustrated all attempts to access the information on the proposed airline. And we here at the Multimedia Group have gone through same, even with the Ghana Airport Company. You ask yourself, what sometimes they don't want to give the information out for? What are they hiding? Doc.
Yes, I'll take the last story upwards. I think that we have a big problem here, and that is why our legislature takes delight in passing laws, because they don't intend to enforce and implement them. The right to information is being one of them. The law existing is one thing, compliance is another. You have various people, researchers and everybody looking for information. They are blatantly refused, and nobody does anything. If you report, nobody even believe that you are actually doing that, and that is the problem we have in the country. That somebody in government, president, vice president, parliamentarians, when they break the law and you are asking for them to be brought into account, people think you are crazy, and that is the issue we are dealing with here. If it's an individual, you will deal with. If you are a poor person, you will dealt with. But once you have some access to power, you seem to be above the law. And that is the norm in this country. It's unfortunate, but that is the situation in which we find ourselves. And I don't think it's going to change anytime soon, unless our institutions hold one of these entities to account and make an example of them, to let them know that the right to information bill is a key pillar of our democracy, and anyone that contravenes it should be made to face the full rigors of the law. If that is done, then you have a chance that it might work, and the purposes for which it was promulgated can be seen, and we realize the benefits. Otherwise, we are in very... I'll comment shortly on your take on Mohammed's dialogue on the 24-hour economy. I want to tell you something. I think that there is more out there on the 24-hour economy than we have for planting for food and jobs, one district, one factory. They were disastrous. I think that the former president...
No, I'm not making comparisons at all. I'm only saying that moving Ghana forward, we need to do more. You remember Imani Africa, for example, when in the getting ahead of elections, they would come through with reports about, oh, this promise is realistic or practical, this is not, and all of that. That's what I'm saying, that come through with something so watertight, concrete, that no one can even, and it creates a clear plan. It's like some of Nkrumah's blueprints, right? This is it. This is how we're going to do it. Or some of our past development plans, even in the Gaggisberg era, the Kolibus and the rest. It was clear. But sometimes we say these things and then the minutiae, the slight minimal details of how to execute. That's why I'm saying that we should go past that as a country. I hear a lot of them, Dr. Bawumia, former President Mahama himself, and some of the things they are saying. But when it goes down to it, how will you source funds? How will you execute it? Where are you getting the funds from? You are in the middle of an IMF program. How will you manage it? Which entities are going to be involved? Like how year on year, how much do you hope to raise? Those are the little bits in there. And I'm hoping to get more answers on those.
Yeah, I expect more information to come out very soon, at least. Those of us preview to some of the information here and there. I believe that there's a lot out there to form a basis for policy. And I believe that in due course, if the former president decides to share them, Ghanaians will be very happy. Of course, there is the tendency of copying manifestos and policies here, like the reasons the NDP gave for not sharing their 3 SHS, 1V, 1D, that the NDC was going to copy it. You now realize that in an exam room, when you are passing by somebody writing, the fellow is covering his script. It's not because he's trying to prevent you from copying his correct answers. You may just be embarrassed by what you see or her writing. So that could be the latter reason here. But hey, it's on the former president. If he thinks he wants to send out more there, it is good for his campaign. And the president, to be a former president, put on the square as if he's already in government and he has to be defending policy when he still has to be campaigning. Okay. So he needs to balance how much he was able to send his message across, rather than make it look like he's defending a budget or he's defending a policy as a government. The two are different things here. Campaigning is still key, and he should probably not fall for that trap completely. Staying glued to discussing the nitty-gritties of 24 economy when the broad framework is out there, and anyone who is a technocrat can begin to analyze and make comparisons with the jurisdictions. This is what I would say. The president, the ball in his court, but if I'm cautious how much I put out there.
All right. Let's go through the last stack of papers and then we pick your reactions and we're gone. The Ghanaian Times newspaper, set priorities right to fix economy. Otumfuo said to tasks finance minister designate. We've heard a lot of that from yesterday. LGBTQ plus bill, Afenyomarkin loses bid to substitute imprisonment with non-custodial sentence, and that's been topical as well. Maslock fails to recover over 291.5 million Ghana cedis in loans disbursed over the last 12 years. Maslock has become another thing altogether in terms of people taking money and not paying. Will ensure fitting 67th Independence Day anniversary celebration. That's according to the Eastern Regional Minister. I'll do the story on page 9 before I move on to the next paper. So, Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Afenyomarkin has lost his bid to convince Parliament to substitute custodial sentences with non-custodial sentences in the promotion of, what we call the anti-gay bill. The Afutu MP lost his advocacy after the House voted against his 12 proposed amendments, which in his view would promote reformation of victims and practitioners of same-sex relationships. Then, the Daily Guide newspaper, Kumasi International Airport ready April. Parliament chases MIIF over $12 million Ejapa expense, and political parties appoint leadership. That's according to the Speaker. He says political parties appoint leadership. And we've seen that happen with the NDC already, with the moving away of Haruna Idrisu and the coming in of Dr. Cassiel Atuforsen. CAF, the Komfo Teaching Hospital, loses 200 nurses in a year. That's the story there. Those are the stories I'll look at. If you have any reactions, we can take them. The New Finder newspaper finally says $35 million Commander Sugar Factory beyond recovery. That's according to GAO, the General Agricultural Workers Union. You can pick one or two of these and we can reflect on them and get out of here.
Yeah, of course, I'm particularly worried about the situation of the Commander factory. It looks like we are a sick nation, and we sink all that amount of money into a project and we play politics with it to the point that it never comes to fruition. And most of the time, it is a problem with almost all the political parties we have in this country, that they don't value knowledge and expertise. And when they come into power, petitions distributed as if it is just to make everybody happy, forgetting that performance is key. I believe that sometimes, even if you don't give appointments to people who can do it, consult them behind the scenes. Some of these disasters can be aborted. To have such a huge amount of money come into a project that is not functional, people are working without jobs, sugarcane is rotting all over the place, yet nobody is being asked to face the music. It's a big problem for us.
Right.
And law enforcement ought to be more up and doing with these things, rather than always following people who say something out of maybe by accident and you are asked to come and explain when there are a whole lot of issues to be dealing with. I'd like to mention something about the Peace Council in your last call for sanity.
So that'll be your final point. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's and I say, I think that, yes, Peace Council have done their job, but the media houses have to do it. You have been anchoring this program and hosting many of us here. You keep us in check. I remember our last interaction when I almost went overboard. You called me to order. And it is the responsibility of every media house to know that they have a responsibility to safeguard the peace and tranquility in this country in this period. And they shouldn't allow politicians and scholars to go overboard. That is where you have to separate maybe pure and true journalism from just the rest. And I think that they need to emulate what many of you do here, getting the best out of us without allowing us to go unhinged. Peace Council have called, the
Right.
media ought to take and make sure we are up and doing. Yeah.
Thank you, Doc, for joining us for another morning, this Thursday morning. We're grateful for your time. Dr. Michael Ayamga is a development economist and senior lecturer at the University for Development Studies. He joined the news review. Right before we go into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us bring you this segment. They're offering you prostate screening for free if you're a man, fertility screening for free if you're a woman. Reach out to them at any of their branches here in Accra. It's Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi Kronum Abwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. The Stakwadi Anaji State Tema Committee 22, Techiman Hanso and Esiamanzima. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Bringing us to the end of the news review and the start of sports. Up next.
Good morning. Let's do sports now on the AM show with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah Ghana. We are just a few days to the start of the African Games 2023. And Joy Sports, we have stored almost every single facility that is going to be hosting the African Games. We went to Boteman. We were also at Legon Sports Stadium. We also visited the Achimota Cricket Oval. We were at Bukom Boxing Arena. Now, we went back to Legon on Wednesday to bring an update of work done so far. And what we picked up is that the marking of the athletic lanes was done last night, completed. As at the time we were there to deliver our report, the markings have started. The markings are now complete, and the facility is ready to be used by Ghana Athletics and the Ghana Education Service that is putting together a National Students Invitational Championship. There's more in this report. When the global cameras and eyeballs switch to Ghana, effective March 8 for the African Games, one of the venues of interest would be the Legon Sports Stadium. It is the facility that holds the key to some of the most exciting disciplines, especially athletics. Everything required for a successful race is ready, ranging from the electronic timer, advertising board, hurdles, and others. I mean, everything. The warm-up track has been fully laid, awaiting lanes to be drawn on it. The auxiliary facilities from seats, fixing of lights, scoreboard, floodlights, washrooms, showers, and many others have been fully fixed. The VVIP, the VIP, the Media Tribune, where the stories of this never-to-be-forgotten event would be told from. Imagine come the final day of the athletics event in the African Games 2023. You will be seated here watching the likes of Benjamin Azamati position over there and finish at this end. But where would the stories be told from? Right here, where I'm seated, where some of the best journalists in the continent will be seated to tell the stories of the African Games 2023. They say it is one of the best multi-sport events that's happening in the continent. And if the best multi-sport event is happening in Ghana, then some of the best sports storytellers are expected here. And these are the facilities they will be using to be able to tell not just the Ghanaian story, but also the story of some of the history makers and breakers in this world event that's going to have global attention. Per the president, about 2.2 billion people are expected to follow this event, both on television and also on social media. Inside the stadium, where you and I would be watching the races, the lanes are being drawn and will be ready by Friday by the contract manager at the Legon Sports Stadium.
We are almost there. The competition starts on the 8th of March. As you can see, we're doing basically the finishing touches, mainly the final clean. We are doing the marking of the lines. So basically by next week, we will be finished with everything that needs to be finished.
Next week? So when you say next week, that means that from the week of 26th of February, you finish. When are you expected to give it out to authority?
In fact, we've scheduled 23rd, which is Friday, as the official taking over date. That the client, that's the employer, the consultants, all stakeholders will come around and do the final inspection. So we have 23rd of this month as the taking over date. Once that is done, it means that we are ready. We're ready to roll.
Many people know University of Ghana to be one of the institutions in this country that has churned out many athletes. Well, Ghana's 100 meters record holder, Benjamin Azamati, is coming home. He will be home for the African Games. He will be home hoping to win the gold medal, and he will be home hoping that he will be part of that quartet that set a national record during the World Championships in Oregon with a time of 38.07 seconds. And they'll be hoping that they can defend the gold medal they won in the 2019 African Games in Rabat. And Dr. Bello Bitigu cannot underestimate the impact of the University of Ghana when it comes to the organization of these African Games.
Mega exciting, mega exciting. What do you wish again? We are hosting it and they are coming here. Our Azamati, who we groomed from zero, is coming, and many others are coming, both local ones and those who are outside at the moment. University of Ghana in the last 2 years has sent more than 12 athletes outside for further studies and the rest, and they will be coming to join. Very special. We look forward to that, to give them that Ghanaian hospitality, to come and get to know University of Ghana, and to be proud as the venue manager to show them around, to show what we have, what we can, and what is there. We are excited and we are looking forward. We cannot wait for it to start. We just pray for everybody to come and support us physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, everything that they can do to support us as Ghanaians, as Africans, and of course the Almighty God, whichever one you believe in, whichever power or mystery you believe in, call upon him or her or them to come and support us, and we are very optimistic it shall be well, it shall go well, and we shall be proud hosts.
On the field, the throwing cage is being fixed, and the playing surface for football, as well as the other disciplines that are likely to be happening here, workers continue to work day and night to ensure that the grass are in shape to be able to host the best possible event in the country.
The global eyes will be on Ghana effective March 8. The global eyes will be on Ghana from March 18 when the athletics events will be happening. Everything is ready here. It's just for you and I, as the local organizing committee have always said, to come here and enjoy the sport. So as a Ghanaian, you have an opportunity of being part of the great story that will be told effective March 8 to March 23. Muftar Nabila Abdullahi for Joy Sports.
Now, let me take you to the Trust Emporium, where it will be hosting boxing, karate, martial arts, and other disciplines that are happening in the African Games. My colleague, Achu Tomaklo, was there and comes through with this report.
Ghana is expecting some 5,000 elite athletes, 3,000 experienced officials, and thousands of fans in the country.
The Trust Sports Emporium has hosted a number of high-profile events since it was officially opened in December 2016. From international swimming events, boxing bouts to exhibition basketball games, it has hosted its share of important events. On 7th March 2024, the facility will attain a whole new level of relevance when it hosts selected competitions of the Accra 2023 African Games. The boxing arena will host the men's boxing competition. With 15 days to the commencement of the event, this is the state of the arena. You would agree with me that the seats could do with some cleaning. And this is a position managers of the facility agree with and will fix. Although the seats in the stands don't need to be replaced, they could do with some cleaning. Managers of the facility are on the same wavelength on this matter and have promised to fix this before the games. Our cameras did not have access to the VIP section, but what we saw would not require too much work. 2 weeks ago, the local organizing committee and the Ghana Olympic Committee trained and secured international certification for over 100 officials, ostensibly for the Games. The Sports Ministry has also facilitated the acquisition of tens of internationally recognized referees for the Games. If you believe President Akufo-Addo, some 3,000 elite officials will be here for the Games. But conventional wisdom says the figure is more likely to be in the hundreds, as has been the case for the African Games over the years. That should take care of the problem of certified boxing officials. The boxing rings have not been installed yet, but they will be before March 15. And when they do, the LOC says they will meet the required specifications. Beyond the boxing arena, the Gamashi Hall will also host the Karate Do events from 7th to the 9th of March, mixed martial arts from 10th to 12th, judo from 14th to the 18th of March, and taekwondo from 11th to March 12, 2024. It is perhaps the most well-kept of all the facilities here at the Trust Sports Emporium. The seats still look new 6 years after commissioning, probably because they have not been exposed to dust and are cleaned on a regular basis. The washrooms look well kept and actually smell good, unlike the pungent choking one at the Accra Sports Stadium. Ernest Amete Papo Amati, marketing officer with Trust Sports Emporium, tells Joy Sports the facility will meet specifications.
For us at the Emporium, this is something that we have always been ready for. As you might be aware, we've been doing this since 2016. We've been hosting boxing matches since 2016, so this is nothing new to us, except we need to put Ghana in a very positive light because we are hosting the African continent. So we've put in place plans and structures to ensure that our hosts are comfortable and everything or every activity that we carry out here is up to the standard that is required.
For Joy Sports, Victor Achutamaklu.
Now let's go to Boteman, and the president commissioned the facility last week Tuesday, so it is now ready for trial. And my colleague Daniel Crampton visited the facility and comes through with this report.
Ghana is expecting some 5,000 elite athletes, 3,000 experienced officials, and thousands of fans in the country for the 2023 Africa Games. And this has increased the need for assurances that the available facilities would be ready. The $154 million state-of-the-art Boteman Sports Complex has been earmarked to host 7 different sporting disciplines when the Games commence. With the country already boasting of 2 Olympic standard swimming pools at the Legon Stadium and the Trust Sports Emporium, it is a newly constructed aquatic center at the Boteman Sports Complex that will host the swimming events at the Games. The 1,000-seater swimming center will be home for the main swimming competition as well as the swimming leg for the triathlon. The facility, also equipped with a modern-day 8-lane warm-up pool, boasts of all the necessary equipment to host a world-class swimming competition. The 5-court tennis complex will host both the male and female tennis. The complex consists of 4 outdoor courts and a 1,000-seater enclosed center court which roofs the spectators. The center court will host the finals of the tennis events. The multi-purpose dome, which is equipped to host an array of sports from basketball to volleyball to futsal, will be the home of both the handball and table tennis at the Games. The semi-enclosed 500-seater edifice is set to accommodate over 15 tables for the table tennis competition, including warm-up tables for the athletes when the Games commence.
So this is a state-of-the-art multi-purpose hall at the Boteman Sports Complex, and this hall will host 2 events at the 2023 Africa Games, that is indoor volleyball and badminton. Of course, it has about 1,000-seater capacity for the crowd, and also has a very comfortable and well-equipped VIP area, has its own bathroom, has a fantastic lighting and a very good and comfortable seating also. You can see Team Ghana is here practicing and gearing up for when they take on their opposition at the 2023 Africa Games. They are just basically testing out the facility. They are pretty satisfied with what they are seeing, and we are also pretty satisfied because this is clearly state of the art. And the organizers and the guys in charge of the facility have told us that they are very prepared and very ready to host the rest of Africa at the 2023 Africa Games.
President of the Ghana Badminton Federation, Ivan Sieboa, says he's highly impressed with the standard of the facility.
Very, very, very great. Coming from all the depth that has been across the country. It's an infrastructure that is never been seen. It's very unprecedented. And we are very grateful to the Ministry of Youth and Sport and other stakeholders for putting this facility in place. If you look at the facility, it's a 1,000-seater capacity, indoor multi-purpose. It will allow us as a national federation to be able to host international tournaments, to be able to give our players better access to facilities. It will be able to guide our technical enhancement through our strategic plan. So this infrastructure has come at a very good time. And starting it with the African Games can never be the best of what we had anticipated.
Ivan Sieboa also talks us through the setup plan for the Games with regards to badminton.
Ghanaians and the general residence public would see a very, very enhanced competition court. In total, we are going to have 8 courts filling the whole of this quadrangle. And these 8 courts means that you are going to see a total of 8 matches potentially ongoing concurrently. This offers the viewership and the public like that gallery of seeing a first-class badminton tournament, because as you remember, this will be the first Olympic qualifier in the multi-purpose hall. So you have high-level athletes who are extremely high elite professionals who are coming to participate in this particular African Games. And if you look at it, you're going to have a division where you have the main competition hall, you have the practice hall behind it, and then the warm-up court will also swing on the left side of the arena. So it's all filled and it will be capacity filled. So we'll entreat each and everyone to come and watch Africa's best during these African Games, starting on the 3rd of March and ending on the 10th of March.
It's been a long time coming, but the Botiman Sports Complex is ready to host the rest of Africa at the 2023 Africa Games. In all, 7 sporting disciplines will be hosted here, beginning with badminton, which would start on the 3rd of March. That's just next month. The competition handlers and the guys in charge of the facility have opened it up for low-profile preparatory competitions as well as training sessions, just to make sure that their I's are dotted and their T's are crossed as ahead of the start of the competition. Reporting from the Botiman Sports Complex for Joy Sports, my name is Daniel Granting.
Let's still stay on stories that have to do with infrastructure, and the Ghana Communication and Technology University, they have commissioned a multi-purpose facility to just grow the interest of students in sport. The Vice Chancellor of the school, Emmanuel Ohene Afuakwa, commissioned the facility on Wednesday.
We decided to put up this sports complex for the students, students within the university, because as our students' number grow, we need to ensure that we give them a befitting place that they will be able to meet and play football, volleyball, handball, and basketball, and all the other sports that they are interested in, so that they will be able to exercise themselves, exercise their strength, exercise their body, that they will be able to study hard and put whatever they are here to learn to good use. So today we have met here to commission the project. The project is ready, that the student can immediately start using the facility to the benefit of themselves and the institution. It's very, very, very important, because even though we are a technology-oriented university, our mandate is to train the human resource capacity that will be the experts for Ghana in the area of ICT. So as I said, we have versatile programs in this university or in the area of IT. We have computer science, cyber security, artificial intelligence, robotics, computer engineering, electronics engineering, electrical engineering, software engineering, information tech, information systems, data analytics and science. Very good programs. And our purpose is to ensure that we are the institution of call when it comes to Ghana, and we want to be the institution of call in the area of ICT when it comes to the whole of West Africa. So we are building a university that we call the Silicon Valley for Ghana. That will be the highest or the greatest technological hub in the area of IT for the nation. That will train the human capital needs of the nation in the area of digitalization, networking, and virtualization. So we wanted to ensure that this sports facility is available for students to use so that they can exercise their body, get a place after lectures, get a place they can rest, they can play football, they can play volleyball, they can play handball, they can play basketball, and even hockey. We have all the facilities in place for every kind of sports that you are interested in so that they can all get access to whatever sports they want to play, so that everybody will be able to make use of the facility that we have been able to put together for them. So thank you all very much.
And let's talk about Asamoah Gyan, the former captain of the Black Stars. He has been named on Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's manifesto team. He's going to be the lead for youth and sports. The former captain of Ghana's senior national team had tweeted earlier calling on his colleagues to be part of an initiative of getting investors to pump their resources into sports in Ghana. And later in the day, it emerged that he's going to be part of the Bawumia's manifesto team. It's a subcommittee that Asamoah Gyan is going to be the lead when it comes to the youth and sports sector.
Welcome back on the AM show. Now, before we get into the next segment, we're going to have a bit of a conversation on something that has, well, got a lot of tongues wagging, and it's all in the political space, in Parliament. I'm sure you know where we're headed. We're talking about the reshuffle. First, it was the ministerial reshuffle, but now it's the reshuffle in Parliament. Parliament's leadership, as far as the majority side or the majority caucus is concerned. Osechi Mensah Bonsu no longer the majority leader, that his deputy, Afenyo Markin Alexander, taking over. But the question is this the right way to go? Is it going to have any impact of sorts on the MPP, whether positive or negative? There are those who have said Osechi Mensah Bonsu is an establishment, an institution. Take him away, it comes with consequences. Others have said the party needs the sort of buga that Alexander Afenyo Markin brings to bear heading into election 2024. The Speaker has said that political parties are the ones that change the leadership. All of these questions we're going to be addressing as we host Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He's a political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Doc, good morning. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Ben. How are you?
I am well. I hope you are too.
Good morning, Ben. How are you? I'm fine.
Great. So here we are. Osechi Mensah Bonsu is now going to lead the manifesto group, as far as the manifesto committee of the NPP is going to be working hand in glove with the vice president, who is also flag bearer of the NPP. But did you forecast that it would happen and happen this quickly?
No, I must say no. I did not have any slight idea as to what was going to happen relative to what we are discussing.
Right.
It has taken me by surprise. But having said that, I must also say that in politics, you should not be surprised about anything. Because when people are looking for power, and if they are looking for power, desperately, all measures can be taken to make sure that they realize that dream. And you and I are alive to the definition by politics as who gets what,
when and how.
And how.
Right. That is the one thing that I guess no political science student of our era would forget. So you didn't necessarily see it coming. You didn't see it coming this quickly. But is it politically savvy, this maneuvering? We've seen the NDC do it, but they did it with quite a bit of time, and it appears they've filled the cracks. At this instance, looking at the period before elections, some say this could go well or it could blow up in the face of the party. What do you think? Hello, Doc? Dr. Asante, can you hear me? All right. We'll try to get the connection through to Dr. Kwame Asante to get his thoughts on that question I was just posing. But of course, we know that latest incident in respect of Osechi Mensah Bonsu and that shake-up in Parliament as far as the majority side is concerned. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has also said that the caucuses cannot be talking about designating or appointing their leaders without the parties leading the process. And that also reflects on the previous incident as far as the NDC is concerned. He makes mention of the fact that the old standing orders referred to party or parties, but this new one is not referring to the party, but caucuses, the Speaker indicated. And he said that he had heard and listened. And I know that the parties are having problems with new definitions of the leaders. According to him, while the old leaders defined the majority leader to mean a member of parliament designated by the party or parties having majority of the seats in the House as their recognized leader in the House, the new order says the majority leader means a member of parliament designated by the majority caucus as their leader in the House. And he added, the Speaker also added, the same standing orders talk about the majority caucus and say majority caucus means the members of the party or parties that have the largest number of seats in the House. I really don't see the difference. It's still talking about the same thing. The caucus is a party wing. So now there is that standoff, if you like, about what does party mean and what does caucus mean and all of that, and who determines who leads in Parliament. There are all of those discussions, and I don't know. Dr. Asante, Kwame Asante, are you with me now?
Please, I'm with you.
Okay, right. Did you get my earlier question?
If you can take it again.
All right. I was saying that some people felt, look, the NDC had done it, but it had had enough time to fill the crevices, okay, the cracks. The MPP is doing it at a time when it is just a few months to election 2024. And some have said, well, it could go okay, or it could blow up in the face of the party. What do you think?
Anything can happen as far as this decision is concerned. Yeah, sometimes you are likely to have a situation where it can divide the party and then create problems for the party ahead of 2024 election. There is no doubt about that. Sometimes it is possible that, yes, they will be able to weather the storm and make sure that they bring everybody in line. But you always want to play it safe, especially when you are at a very close range to the election, that you don't worsen the situation. Already, from the primaries and all that, there are simmering tension within the party to a certain extent. So you don't aggravate the situation by creating a more difficult situation that will polarize the system the more. So I thought that the party would have taken a cue from others and would have taken a decision that would resonate with people and make sure that the party is kept tight. At this point in time, all that one needed to have is to have a consensus built around this issue by the two entities, that's the caucus and the party, sitting down to talk and then deciding who to lead the party at Parliament. For me, this should not be a difficult thing if the party intends to fix this problem and fix it once and for all.
Now, how do you react to the Speaker? Because the new standing orders say he references the new and the old standing orders. Now, it says the majority leader means a member of parliament designated by the majority caucus as their leader in the House. And he talks about the fact that the same standing orders talk about the majority caucus and say majority caucus means the members of the party or parties that have the largest number of seats in the House. And he says he doesn't see the difference. It's still talking about the same thing. The caucus is a party wing. That is the wing of the party in Parliament. And he says basically, so it is the party that chooses who leads the parliamentary caucus. Some have disagreed, but what is your take on it? Because that will take us back to what happened in the NDC as well, and all the push and shove and the talk about, but why is the party administrative body determining the leadership of parliament when it's not parliamentarians determining that? What's your take?
When you look at the two scenarios, the NDC one and this one, there are slight differences.
All right.
One of the main differences is that if you look at the NDC one, it came at a time where the new standing orders was not invoked. All right. So the contexts were different.
But now they are, and this is happening.
Now
that's the context.
You have the standing orders in full force. So one would have expected Parliament to, if they were interested in having a definition that resonates with what the Speaker said, they should have put into it black and white. You law students have always been telling us that it is when it is written that you can say that this is the way, but it can't be on your mind, on your lips, and all that. Put it into writing and let us believe that this is how it's going to be.
But this is the fine print, and still there appears to be, I do not know whether it's not categorical enough, because the Speaker, of course, even in Parliament, there is also interpretation, just as in the judicial system, there will be interpretation of what the law means in context, right? And in this instance...
I follow that.
Right.
Ben, I follow that. But I would have thought that at least a matter of this nature, if you have extended the frontiers of the provision a little bit to capture the would have saved the situation. But that aside, all right, now what we have is what we can discuss. I don't think the Speaker's position is wrong. I don't think so. I share in his view in a sense that if you look at Parliament, there is no caucus if there is no party. The party must exist in order to what? Trigger a process that gets people elected to Parliament. And then out of that, the party decide to put into what? Parliament, their leadership. Remember, when election is done, the determination of who will be as a leader in Parliament is done by the party. So that should be the basis. If you have that, and today you have a standing order number 5, which says that leaders will be picked from Parliament by the caucus, then my understanding is that involve the two entities, the party and then the caucus. Let them sit down and then lead, have a discussion. Definitely, there will be what? Compromises. And then at the end of the day, you build what? A consensus. I don't think this should be difficult because I am not sure that the caucus can take a decision without reference to the party and the vice versa. No. So it tells you that the two must work in tandem so as to what? Produce the kind of what? Result that they want. Otherwise, you are likely to have this, siesta that we are witnessing and that everybody wants to show its power relative to what we are discussing. But for me, it is much ado about nothing. All that you need is that you need the party and then you need the caucus working hand in hand to take decisions such as what? Having leadership in Parliament to represent them. If you start from anywhere and without consensus, I'm afraid you are going to hit a snag.
Okay, let me bring in Samuel Bing, Executive Director, Parliamentary Network Africa. Samuel, thank you for joining the conversation. Let's start off with your quick reaction to this development. Did you see it coming? If you did you see it happening this quickly? And when you look at the fine print of the new standing orders and what it says about this, what happened with the NDC, at least then, the new standing orders were not enforced. Now it is enforced. And the Speaker is literally saying, when I see it, when it says the caucus, it's party members representing the caucus. So the party has control, basically. That's what he's saying. How do you see that? What's your reflection?
Did I see it happening? Yes. Did I see it happening this quick? Yes.
Was it a good thing? I mean, do you think it's something that is in the right direction for the MPP?
Well, so that then becomes a different matter. Of course, I saw it happening or coming and this quickly because of the happenings for this week. I mean, I was also in Parliament. There were some engagements yesterday I'm privy to, and so yes, I really anticipated that these things were going to happen. As to whether it is the best for the NPP, I mean, look, if you have a leader of the caucus who has served 8 years as minority leader, almost 8 years as majority leader, has been whipped, has led in committee, internationally acclaimed, legislator, and all of those, accolades. Certainly, you do not want him to leave his role in this manner, where there is a leakage in the media, there is a purported...
Which brings to mind claims that he may have been pushed out, that it wasn't necessarily his will. Because you look at the fact that, the manifesto committee is going to chair this committee for the presidential campaign of the MPP, Dr. Bawumia, and then, he could have done it and still be leader in parliament, majority leader.
Well, as to whether he could have done both, it's another matter to be discussed. Remember that if you are majority leader, you are leader of government business in parliament, you are minister for parliamentary affairs, according to the charter of the ministry at the moment, and you are on the parliamentary service board. The workload is huge. I don't know the workload that is expected of the manifesto committee chair, but I'm assuming that this is also going to be huge, considering the kind of situation we are in and what the manifesto committee want to do, how they have to move around and engage with people, perhaps if that is their strategy. However, I really cannot speak to being pushed out or not being pushed out. These are politicians. In every political system, especially in parliament, some of these maneuverings do happen. Sometimes you have people who are working directly with people being the ones instigating for some of these things to happen and all of that. These things happen in these systems. So I am not really surprised when I see these things happen. But to the weightier matter of the standing orders and what the interpretations would be, of course, with Mr. Speaker speaking to the matter yesterday on the floor of Parliament, his position on the matter essentially is quote and unquote the law, because the standing order says that if there is ambiguity or there is misunderstanding on any subject matter, the Speaker's ruling holds sway unless anybody challenges the Speaker's ruling. So from what has happened yesterday, certainly his ruling now, by virtue of him being the Speaker, is what actually pertains, unless it gets challenged. But I disagree with Mr. Speaker's ruling respectfully to some extent.
So you disagree on what point? The fact that let me quote verbatim what he says, so I don't. In this instance, the Daily Guide newspaper captures part of that, other papers as well. But he says, just so you can react, I have heard and I have listened, and I know that the parties are having problems with new definitions of the leaders. The old standing orders referred to party or parties, but this new one is not referring to the party, but caucuses. Now, he goes on to say the majority leader means a member of parliament designated by the majority caucus as their leader in the House. That's according to him. The old orders defined the majority leader to mean a member of parliament designated by the party or parties having majority of seats in the House. That's the old. Now he says, the same standing orders talk about the majority caucus and say majority caucus means the members of the party or parties that have the largest number of seats in the House. And he adds, tellingly, I really don't see the difference. It's still talking about the same thing. The caucus is a party wing. That is the wing of the party in Parliament. You cannot be talking about designating or appointing your leaders without the party leading the process. So how then do you understand it? I just had to situate it in that end.
No,
how do you understand the fine print?
Ben, it's great that you read this, and that even brings me to the point. So let me cite this example.
Right.
If in our next parliament, this is just hypothetical, the NPP has 100 seats, the CPP has 50 seats, and both join in to make the majority caucus, which party takes that decision? It's a caucus.
There would have to be some compromises then, of course, when you form. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we have a system where it's usually the MPP or the NDC. It's casting.
But even if you have some of the practical examples that have come to play, let's say that only 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 PNC, CPP, whichever political party members caucus to make up the majority. Are you trying to tell me that those members of parliament must not be consulted in taking up leadership? What has happened in the NDC last year and what is happening now has shown that there were absolutely no consultations with the political party caucus in parliament. The NDC one was clear. They told us. I mean, the members of parliament themselves. The MPP one, no mean a person than Joe Sewis who had to do a press conference and said, caucus has not discussed it. Nobody has come to deny that, right? So if these consultations do not go on, I'm only citing an example, which is a plausible example, in the future, that if the caucus involves others, what this is going to do going forward also is that it would make other political parties that are able to get certain seats in parliament be minded about whether they want to caucus in a particular way. You get my point? And so the tidier way around this, and I heard the earlier speaker on the other line mention, sorry, I didn't quite catch.
Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante.
Great. Dr. Asante. He indicates that the tidier way is to have some consensus between party and members of parliament within the caucus, and that saves us all the trouble. Party must certainly be influential in parliament because they have, an interest, but we are working with a group of people who are in parliament, and those group of people must be respected enough. This way of going about things is not respectful to members of parliament.
Sami, hold on. Let me bring in Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. What do you make of 2 things? One, this whole bit about party and caucus. And do you feel Osei Mensah, who's taken on the role of the manifesto committee for the Bawumia campaign, meant that he couldn't still remain majority leader?
Held the 2 positions, giving his...
Doc, I think you should go back because we missed the first part of your submission.
Yeah, I am saying that there is no doubt in my mind that Mr. Mensah could have handled the 2 portfolios and handled them very well. Okay. He's a very experienced man for parliamentary work. He knows all the things associated with it, at least to a large extent. And then with the manifesto thing, he can also preside over it without any problem. But even where you think that you want to free his hand so as to enable him to perform that manifesto role effectively, the consensus was critical. Yes, to have everybody seated around a table and then you discuss and you find a way out. Yes, but if you decide that you are going to work because you are the party and that for that matter you have the final say, then it becomes a bit problematic. If you also think that yes, now the standing orders has given you power, and for that matter you can take a decision without reference to the party, that is another matter which I don't think that it is right. The 2 must work hand in hand. After all, they are talking about what? Interest articulation. They are articulating their interest. And what interest? The caucus doesn't have a certain interest which is different from the party. They all share the same interest. And that interest is that they will have a common front, and that common front will serve their interest in the parliament as well as serve the interest in the party, and then by extension to the general populace of the country. So all the noise, they could have saved everybody, and then save the party itself from all this, because this is a very simple matter, if they really. But from look of things, you realize that a whole lot of things are simmering. And for me, that doesn't bode well for a party which is in difficulty by all standards and then want to marshal all forces to go and then campaign effectively. Then you need a united front to prosecute that agenda.
And you've said that, especially with the party facing the difficulties it is facing, this could be problematic. Is this then, could this be a shot in the MPP's own foot by the MPP itself?
Oh, if it is not managed well, it can create all manner of problems and then compromise their chances and all that. Remember, You and I listened to the deputy speaker and the way he spoke. Obviously, there are people who are supporting that call. There are all those also in the party who feel that the status quo must change and change to a certain direction. All these ding-dong battles would not gear well for a party that really wants to maintain power for the third time running. So I believe that at this time of the day, all that you need, that if there are differences, you try and use all the mechanisms that you have to deal with them head on, and then you move on. Because the campaign itself poses a great challenge for the party, looking at the economic condition we find ourselves, and even the political system as we find it today. So there are a lot to in there for them to handle. So if they want to compound the situation, then I'm afraid they are going to fall on their own dagger.
I'll take your final words, gentlemen. I'll start with you, Samuel Bing. So how can the MPP make this transition seamless, smooth, and with the least of impact? If you were advising the MPP, what would you tell them to do moving forward?
My first proposal is that, look, there is always a way out to any problem. Call a meeting, get all the parties, the caucus, and then the parties together, and then table your issue, jaw, and then build what? Definitely there will be what? You exchange ideas, and then you come to a consensus, and out of the consensus, whatever comes out, everybody will defend it.
Hello, Doc. I think we've lost Dr. Kwame Asa-Asante. He started enumerating some points. Samuel Bing, are you with me?
Yes, I am. And perhaps in addition to the points that Doc makes, the NPP can certainly steal a leaf from the book of the NDC in handling this matter just about a year ago. And the processes as outlined earlier by Doc were what they used after this announcement and the disagreement and what have you. They had a meeting, they were able to jaw, they came to some level of consensus. They paid for it at some point, but at least it was not too fatal. I hope that the NPP would be able to learn from this. But ultimately, I think members of parliament of the various caucuses should know that because of the precedent of the NDC situation, this has also happened. And these two precedents would certainly be taken advantage of by political parties in not consulting the caucus if they just allow it to go, and for which reason they must speak out, and there must be a tidier process of selecting leadership of caucuses in parliament going forward.
So you mean the voices in parliament and the majority caucus must be more vocal or they must be more vociferous on this matter, else in future it could mean parties have unfettered access to do what we've seen in the NDC and now in the MPP. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely, and the NDC colleagues also must have an interest in that, so that their people also do not take advantage of it going forward.
Samuel Bing, thank you very much for joining the conversation. Let me try one last time if we have Dr. Asa-Asante.
Yes, I think I'm here. Sorry.
Yes, we lost you briefly. Quickly on that point you were making.
Yes, I'm saying that, first of all, they must recognize the fact that they are working for the common interest of the party, whether a caucus or a party. They should be able to smoke peace pipes around whatever differences that exist between them, and then sit down, call a meeting, have people seated, discuss issues, and then arrive at a consensus. And based on that, let it be the policy. You see, when decisions are taken in this way, the good news is that everybody who is part and parcel would defend that decision when it comes out under attack, and then they will work with it. But when you isolate people, it becomes a problem when that decision needs to be defended. People will shy away. And then let them remember that the two entities, that the caucus and the party, cannot work at cross purposes. They will always have to team up, work together, and build that solid front. That will dovetail into all the good things that I expect the party and the caucus to do relative to the campaign that is ahead. Without that, I'm afraid they are likely to have their fingers bent, and it will not bode well for them.
Thank you so much, Doc. Those who joined us for this conversation, and it's a conversation that will continue. Samuel Bing, Executive Director, Parliamentary Network, Africa, and of course, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, political scientist and Director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. We take a breather. When we return, it's a conversation with Liberia's current Vice President, sworn in only on the 22nd of January this year. It's a compelling story about a human being helping another human being and how we all could face those situations in life. It's also about the politics of Liberia and George Opong Weah and the latest dynamics in there. You want to stay for AM exclusive, my conversation with Jeremiah Kong, Vice President of Liberia, after the break. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Now, the conversation we're about to have on AM Exclusive today is a truly exclusive interaction, but it's also special. Usually we'll talk about politics, current affairs, yes, social issues. We're going to talk about all of those, but my guests today are an interesting group. The man I'm about to speak to, he's a politician, not from Ghana though, but he is in Ghana, and we managed to catch up with him. We also have a man with a beautiful story intertwined with the life of my main guest. But without further ado, let me introduce to you, first off, Jeremiah Kong. Now, he happens to be the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia. Mr. Kong, thank you so much for joining me here for this conversation.
Thank you.
It's a privilege to have you join. And I have a rich history with Liberia, so it's a pleasure being here. We also have joining the conversation Mr. Addison. What's your full name? Tell us your full name, Mr. Addison.
My full name, thank you. My full name is Emmanuel Echo Addison.
Emmanuel Echo Addison. Okay, you had mentioned the Echo earlier, and we'll explain to you why Mr. Addison is here today. But let me start with Jeremiah. So, first off, I feel congratulations are in order.
Thank you.
It was the 22nd of January that you were sworn in.
Yes, please.
Right. So now you are Vice President. I must say, pretty simple. Not like many of our African leaders. So, but just to start off, tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Jeremiah Kong?
So my name is Jeremiah Kong, and I'm a Liberian. Born and raised in Liberia. I lived there all my life. I was previously a businessman.
Okay.
And so later went to politics. I became representative in 2011. I got elected and took seat in 2012.
When you say you're a representative in the legislative body,
in the legislature. In Liberia, we have two chambers, the House of Rep and the House of Senate.
Right.
But together is the legislature.
Okay.
So I got elected to the House of Representatives in 2011. I took seat in January 2012. And I retained my seat in 2017. I went for re-elections and I won my seat in 2017. And by 2020, I was asked by my constituents to run for the Senate.
Okay.
Which is, this time is the whole county, it's not just the district. And I contested in 2020 and I won the elections. And by 2023, I was contacted to be Vice President to His Excellency Ambassador Joseph Yuma Boakai, President of the Republic of Liberia. And we ran a successful campaign. And today I'm the Vice President to His Excellency Ambassador Boakai.
And that's interesting. I mean, who knows what next step could be there for you, because Joseph Boakai has himself been Vice President before. Under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, he was Vice President, tried, lost to Weah, and now he's actually won. So that's a pretty interesting journey. What does it mean to you, this position you occupy? Before we get to the other stories and why Mr. Addison is here, what does it mean to you?
For me, it's a space to work more, It's a space to do more for your people. And so it's challenging as a young person.
Right.
Your life is almost in a cave where you leave your house in the morning in the car, you go to work, and you got a lot of people following you and security people and everything. There's nothing private anymore. And so it's challenging, but I'm grateful, and we are praying that God guide us to do the right thing for our country and see how we can improve the lives of our people.
So this is a, what, 6-year term?
This is a 6-year term.
6-year term.
Yeah.
So this is 2024 till
2029. If they 2029.
Yeah. By 2030, you'll be handing over. Yeah. All right. We'll come back to some of those, but I'd like us to throw the spotlight on a very interesting story about human beings and why we should be human to one another. And that also explains why you are in Ghana, right?
True.
Take us, is it 22 years ago or 24 years ago?
24 years ago.
24 years ago.
Yes.
All right.
So I'm in Ghana today because I've gone to represent the President of Liberia at an inauguration ceremony in Bayelsa State in Nigeria.
Right.
The inauguration of the governor. And I also had the invitation to go to Morocco on the South-South Cooperation Parliament Conference. And so I was asked to deliver a speech. And so I was in Morocco. I'm now in Ghana and waiting for my flight, hopefully tomorrow for Monrovia, Liberia.
Right.
So, as I said before, I was a business guy. And in about 98, 99, 2000, we were coming to Togo to buy cars and take to Liberia to sell. During this time where the wartime in Liberia, so we all know what it meant. And this day we were coming to Togo. We were 5 young people together. My friend Perignan is in Liberia today. Mustafa Abdallah is dead today. He died already.
So rest in peace.
So rest in peace. You had Yankee Nyeneke. Yankee Nyeneke is also in Yekepa, in an area called Yekepa in Liberia. Another person. We're 5 in number. As the name comes, I will let you know. And so we're en route to Togo. And so we came by a bus that used to run in the Côte d'Ivoire called Steve.
I see.
A company called Steve. And so Steve brought us from Danale to Accra.
Tamale.
Danale is in Côte d'Ivoire.
Okay.
It's the first big town from the border, Danane. So we came to Ghana. We entered here. We left Danane about 9-10 Saturday night, 2022. I don't remember the month.
You mean 2002?
2000, the year 2000.
2000.
In the year 2000. So we came to Ghana and we got here about 1 a.m. in the morning. And so we should have gone to Togo. But we used to buy cylinders in Ghana. There are a lot of used cylinders that used to come from Europe in Ghana. So we used to buy them to take to Liberia and sell. And so we wanted to buy cylinders in Ghana, leave it here, go to Togo, get the car. So when we are coming back, we can pick up the cylinders.
Right.
So when we got down from the bus, it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. So my friend asked that we just go to the entertainment center instead of paying for a hotel to sleep, which would cost us money. We were struggling at the time. So we went to the entertainment center called Yakiki. I still remember that name. I don't know whether it still exists in Ghana. It's called Yakiki. So we're in Yakiki, and about 4 a.m. in the morning, I remember that Ghana on Sunday, there was no business.
Yeah.
So no shop open. So I told my friend, oh, it's a mistake. Today is Sunday morning, 4 a.m. Tomorrow morning, we wouldn't be able to get cylinders and some stuff we try to buy. So let's go to Togo. When we come back, we can get those stuff on a market day or day that the businesses are open in Accra, Ghana. So then there was a bus driver parking. I don't remember his name. And so we asked him, it was an 18-seater bus, 18 or 16-seater bus, Nissan bus. So we asked him to take us to Togo. And how much could we pay? So he charged us, and we agreed to pay for all the seats. We paid. So we got in
all the 16 or 18 seats. You paid for all of them.
We paid for all.
And there were only 5 of you.
Yes.
Right.
We're 5. There's a guy from Togo who was also with us. I brought a driver from Togo.
Right.
The other time he drove, because when we go to Togo and we pay for car, 2-3 cars, your one can drive it. So you have to hire a driver. At the time it was $150 for somebody to drive from Togo to Liberia. And then you transport them to come back. And so there was this guy with us from Togo that I was bringing back, because the cars we carry, we just sold them and we're coming back to Togo to get another one. When we got in the bus, we noticed that the driver had put 2 more persons in the bus. But all we thought it was his conductors and other people. So we got in the bus and we started to leave Accra.
So this was before you even got into the bus. These 2 people were there.
Apparently, I don't know how they really got on board. But after we spoke to him and we agreed to go, then 2 guys entered the bus.
Okay.
2 guys. So the 2 guys got in the bus and we got in the bus. So we assumed that they were
the conductors helping him.
So we didn't have a problem. We started leaving. I mean, few minutes in the drive, we all fell asleep. Because we have come from the entertainment center, we're drinking beer and all those. So we came from, whole night we haven't sleep, we in the bus. And so we all fell asleep. But this guy from Togo wasn't sleeping. He was a Muslim, he couldn't drink beer. So he was sitting among us. He was sitting in the bus. So we all fell asleep.
He was very sober.
Yes. When we got somewhere on the highway, the 2 guys spoke tree to the driver. I was sleeping by then. This is what I was told by the Togolese guy. Now let's do it here. And then the driver said, no, this place is too open. Let's go further. The Togolese guy could understand tree. Apparently, Togo, Ghana, they are very close.
Yeah.
So he heard their conversations. And then he yelled in the bus, these are criminals, these are criminals. So we all woke up from sleep, yelling and all around the place. There was a guy with us who is called Mustafa. He's dead today.
Right.
He was a former soldier, part of the rebel group. So he wasn't afraid of armed robbery. And he did that things he handled. So he was the brave one. So he said, don't you know we are Liberians, you want to arm rob us? We understand these things more. So the guys got afraid. And the driver, they all started running.
So these 2 people, together with the driver, they jumped out of the car.
They started running. So because we were many, and we started chasing them now. So when we ran after them, the driver, we couldn't grab them.
But were they armed?
The 2 guys were armed.
The 2 ones in the bus,
were armed, yeah.
They had what, pistols or something?
Pistols. But the guys, the guy Mustafa was telling them, fire, this thing does nothing to me. You know that kind of, he's a soldier, so he knew what he was doing. I was afraid and very confused. So when they left, we were on the highway, the bus is parked, the key is in it. And so I told my guys, look, start this car, turn it around, and let's find a police station where we go and explain to the police what happened to us.
Right.
But that they will find this driver. In the process, the 2 guys who escaped went to the Navy's base. The area it was happening, the Navy's base, I think somewhere around there, or Navy's people were around. So apparently he went there and told them that there were some Liberians armed robbing a Ghanaian.
Wow. And so that's the driver? Is that the driver who went and did that?
The 2 guys.
The 2 guys went and did that.
So the Navy's people got in their car. At that time, armed robbery was very high in Ghana. So the Navy's car started coming. At this point, I've asked one of my guys to turn, one of the drivers I was taking, to turn the car around so that we come in town to find a police station. And the Navy's came and met us turning the car around. So it proved that we were armed robbing the Ghanaian men. There was no way to say anything.
Right.
So the fire in the air, bow, bow. And then we all started running. So we ran in the bush. I ran with a friend called Perry. We all went to some people went alone. So they grabbed one of my guys, his name is Yankee.
Right.
They beat him, and he had cut all on him. He and the Togolese guy were together. They hit the Togolese guy in the mouth and broke 2 teeth.
Wow.
From his mouth. So they arrested those 2. They didn't arrest some of us. So I slept in the bush around the place. I don't remember very well, but it's on the highway to Togo. And there were some people praying in the bush. So my friend said, let's reach out to these people. I said, no. It could be the same people pretending to be Christians and praying. So let's lie down here until tomorrow morning. So we slept. Soon morning by 6, we got up and we started walking, asking questions to find a police station. So they directed us to Ashama police station.
Ashaiman police station.
Ashaiman police station.
Right.
So we went there and told the police that, look, we are Liberians, we were traveling and we were armed robbed last night and we are fleeing. So Addison, I don't know his first name, but I remember
Emmanuel
the Addison very well.
Right.
So Addison was the guy in charge of the case, police guy who was asked to take us to where the thing happened and let's see the site. So he took us to the gas station. When we went there, there were blood all on the ground because they broke the guy's teeth and beat our guys there. So the guys working at the station said last night they arrested some armed robbers here and they took them to the Navy's base.
The naval base.
The Navy's base. So he told us, let's go there. When we entered the base, he explained to the people that he has come. He learned that there were some people arrested here, and so these are some of the people who were there last night. Oh, they cuffed us.
All right. I think I'll let you hold it there and let him continue, Mr. Addison, because you were in the police service at the time. You were the Addison that he's speaking of, right?
Exactly so.
So narrate the story for us from there. What exactly happened once you took them to the naval base?
Yes, let me start from the time they came to Ashaiman police station and lodged a complaint. I was then on duty. I was on duty then, so they referred the case to me as a CID man on duty. So they referred the case to me, and I took their statement as usual. Then I said, I'll move to the scene. So I went to the scene of crime, and we saw that there's a blood stains around. So then they'll follow it. So we went to a nearby police station, Shell police station, just on the way to Titi Brothers.
Right.
First station on your left. On your left. So we went there, and we saw a pool of blood, as he said. So I quickly asked the Navy officer on duty, Master, what happened? I saw it was, they have arrested armed robbers, and those attendants also testified. And they have sent them to the naval base. Okay, so quickly we took taxi and went there. Truly, when we met the officer there, he confirmed that yes, they brought them, but they have sent them to Fishing Harbour police station. Since the case fall within the police jurisdiction. So we went to Fishing Harbour. Immediately that I introduced myself, these 2 gentlemen also came to Ashaiman and lodged complaint of robbery against the driver and the 2 occupants. They arrested them. That, we are even looking for them. This armed robbery, here. Well, when we went there, one of them in the cells, Mr. called him. Said, so you are part of. Initially, I didn't want to disclose them.
Right.
So Mr. called them. I said, so they're all here. Then they arrested all of them. So quickly, I have to inform my crime officer, who's now COP from Pong. Then he directed me that I should come to Ashaiman police station. They informed the regional commander. They said, since the case falls within Ashaiman jurisdiction, we should take over the case. So they released the suspect to me. And so
when you say they released the suspects to you, all now you had 5 of them?
5 of them.
And you took them where? To the Ashaiman police station?
But some were injured. So when I sent them to Ashaiman police station for their health safe, I sent them to my general hospital. They treated them. Some got a big cut here, and some also lost their teeth. So they treated them first aid, and I sent them to police station. Then we started investigation. So to cut everything short, we invited the bus driver. Because the bus driver was now a complainant. He went to Fishing Harbour and brought complaint.
Yeah.
So after they handed over this, I called him and he came. So we took his statements, and there was a lot of the statement
incoherence, right? It didn't add up.
No, there was a missing link somewhere. So what happened? Did you see this people armed? What happened?
Because that was another question I was going to ask. Even when they were apprehended, these people were not armed.
Were not armed. So what happened?
So armed robbers without ammunition.
So what happened? So I said, no, this case I have to be very careful and take pains to investigate it. So I told my client, you don't send sit-rep now. Because immediately there's an armed robbery case, they have to send a sit-rep. So hold on. I don't know whether they send it, but I said, this one, there's no need for me to rise and go and remind them. Because that time, if you get any armed robbery case, you have to go to court, just remind them.
Yeah. Sometimes it was a quick process, very quick process, because of the spate of armed robbery.
Yes. So during the investigations, then I got to know that these people were innocent. They were innocent. And that one, the thing that really helped them, initially they were feeling reluctant to give me, I asked them a question. You were saying you were a businessman. We are going to buy cars. Where is the money that you are holding?
Right.
So, no, we don't have money, no. How much was that? This one, if you show me, I won't take it. It will really going to help us to establish the only sense about this case. So later, while he was in cells, I brought him out, said, go and lead me. So we went to the same place opposite, getting to Tulaku. They went far, went to Tulaku. Then they dug a hole there, buried the huge money, and they put a stick. The one went there
to identify.
40,000.
So briefly, I'll come back to you. What made you do this? You buried the money and put a stick there to help you identify. But what made you do that? Was it fear?
So remember, we being Arab, we are afraid. We are in Ghana and we don't know the way out. Coming from our country, was wartime. Seeing somebody with 40,000, you could lose your life.
Yeah.
And so we didn't want to keep the money on us. So what we did was dug the hole, put the money there, bury it, and put something there.
But what made you think someone hadn't seen you who would come and dig it up?
It was in the night. Nobody could see. This thing is happening by 4, 5 in the morning. So nobody could see that something. So we're hoping that after all this thing, we'll come back and come to the gas station and find where we put the money.
And then you make your purchase. You go and purchase your...
So at first we're afraid. When he asked us for the money, we said, among ourselves, you show this guy the money, he will kill us. So the better we don't show the money. Let's just say the money got missing. So they kept asking, we slept in jail for the first day, the second day. The third day, then I told my friends, look, let's show him the money. If even he take the money, fine, let me free and go back.
Right.
Because what shocked me was the jail I was in. When I asked some of the guys, excuse me, how long you been here? 15 years. 20 years. What did you do? Armed robber. I did this. I said my life is finished. You are here for 10, 15 years.
Your life flashed before your eyes.
My life is finished.
Right.
And so at that point I said, look, because what the police he needed was to be convinced that we're business people.
Right.
And to be business people, we have money.
Exactly.
So I contacted the guy in Togo that we used to buy cars from. He was a customer. I informed him. The guy came. And then we went with him and showed him where the money was. And then we took the money out of the ground. When he took the money, he thought it was that original money. So they took it to the bank and they tested it. And it was money. Then I want to believe that he concluded that these guys, because the bus doesn't cost $3,000.
Right.
So why would somebody traveling, group of people traveling with about $40,000,
right,
want to unwrap a $2,000 or $3,000 old bus?
Exactly, and that's where I'll hold you up again. So coming back to you, Mr. Addison, was that where you realized that their story held water, that it made more sense than the story of the bus driver?
And to add to it, I even asked him to give me if he has a call card of the dealer in Togo.
Right.
And surprisingly, he came out with a call card.
Okay.
So I reasoned from the cells and we moved to a nearby communication center, then very difficult to nearby communication center, and we called. I didn't allow him to talk. I asked a certain independent person to talk to the man. That he mentioned his name. He said, you know this guy. So The guy also confirmed, yes, I said, if so, then you come to Ghana. This is the situation that the people are in now. And seriously, the man also came, and I took his statements, and I saw that it was collaborative.
So at that time, you realized they were not armed robbers, they were in for business. But something else I'd like to find out, what then happened to the bus driver who had come to, spin this yarn, tell this story, and the other two who were actually the armed robbers who had now gone to, lodge the complaint?
When I asked this question, the man denied. When I was taking his statements as a complainant, the man denied. And I asked him, can you produce the two occupants? So they were mere passengers on board. So immediately the incident happened, they also traveled to Togo. So when are they coming? I said, yeah, he doesn't know them then. This is what he said. So it's okay. So we're then not having concrete evidence to stand on it to prosecute the case. Mm-hmm. So I had a conference meeting with my chief inspector, crime, and the district officer, and the crime officer, Mr. Frimpong. And I narrated everything to them, and it was okay. Then let's inform the regional commander. So we booked an appointment, and we went to the regional commander, together with all the parties. The bus driver, the Navy officer who was on duty at that filling station was also summoned. He came, and my suspects, the alleged armed robbery suspects or armed robbers. So when we met, initially the officers met the regional commander, then Mr. Mentro, they met him and briefed him. So they took over my docket, studied it, and they asked me to excuse them. So they discussed over this issue for a very long time before they said, okay, they called the Navy officer. I was there when they called the two affairs. And then when they interviewed the Navy officer, he was also there when people shouted. No, the guy was just running toward that place to take a refuge. But they mistakenly, because the people were shouting, armed robbers, so he could also speak English, so they thought, oh, they are one of those people. So that's why they didn't lynch him, but he even intervened, and they sent him through. So there wasn't any concrete evidence to prove from that man that he was armed. So did you search him? That's all this question. The man could not answer. So in presence of my officers, they said, okay, then you stand there. They said I should bring them. When they came, they interviewed them, and they also said what he said. And finally, the regional commander, with his own discretion, said, this case, we should discontinue it.
So the case was discontinued. The bus driver...
No, the bus driver failed to produce.
Right. But now that it was pointing to the fact that he could actually be the perpetrator, but there was not enough evidence, so it had to be left there. Hold for me up. Back to you, Jeremiah. So you were told you could go, all five of you. You were told you were free.
Yes.
You could go.
Yes. So when it took.
But what happened after that? Because there was something else that happened with Mr. Addison.
So something he didn't mention. He was taking my statement. The bus driver has a sister who was somebody in the Ghana security sector, whether police or at the court. The lady has come to talk to him. We both were in the room, and they were both speaking Tree. So I didn't understand what they were speaking. But then later he came out, the talk got so hard, and he came out in English, that he wouldn't do this. And the lady says, this because of the Liberian use other words I don't want to use. He said, because of that, you are my brother, you are talking to me like this. We meet at the court. And she left in anger. So then I asked, then he said, she has come to talk to me to see how I can help her and make sure you people are guilty. Because I was there, they were talking.
To see how he can help her.
Turn the case against us. Because the both of them were speaking Tree, and later their voice went very high, and they came to English. Then the lady said, is this because of this Liberian something else? Right. I can't say it now. Because of that, you are my brother from Ghana, you're trying to
what did you think was happening? Because of the money involved?
I don't know. Apparently,
Mr. Addison, was it hold for me, was it because of the money? This person was
not really. The chief inspector is a brother to the driver. So when I was taking this man's statement, she came there. And that time I saw that my man was really weak, because he could not take anything. So I decided to buy him malt and biscuit. I even begged him to, because I want him to be in a healthy form before I would take his statement. And the one said, why are you pampering them? They are all armed robbers. Madam, I've finished with your brother. Will you please excuse me? I said it in tree.
Okay, so that was her bone, the bone of contention.
The bone of contention.
Because she was related to the bus driver, and she felt you were giving them some preferential treatment. Okay, all right. So you heard all of that.
When they took us to the police station, we went to the Ghana National Police Station to meet the director of police.
Police headquarters.
Yeah, police headquarters.
Regional police command.
Police headquarters.
All right.
So when we went there, we were asked to sit on the floor, and we sat down, and they asked us, the director, the big policeman asked us, and I explained, and they asked the bus driver, he explained. And the police commander said, look, these people are not armed robbers. And he told us, the last thing he said to us was, look, next time you come to Ghana, when it's late, stay off the street, find somewhere to be. Because there's too many armed robbery going on. It's done by people who are coming from nearby countries. Countries I don't want to call now. And so please be careful next time. We'll provide you security to escort you at the Togo border. And they brought out the money. They gave me the money.
40,000.
Yes, I checked the money. And that's the part that makes me, I'm never forgetting this man's name.
Tell us that part of the story.
When I checked the money, they asked me, is your money correct? I said, yes, my money is correct. I said, thank you. Take your money and you can leave. It was surprising to me. Because
who was telling you this, Mr. Addison?
The director of police, the regional commander.
Right.
So take your money and you can leave. We'll give you escort to escort you. So we said thank you. When we got out, I called Addison and I checked $1,000 and gave it to him to tell him thank you. He said no. So I assumed that the money was small. This guy has helped out and we are free, we have money. He could take all this money. So apparently he's not happy that we are giving him $1,000. So I added one more. I said, this is two.
So that was $2,000.
$2,000. He said no. And so I finally made it $3,000.
Right.
So I called my friends and said, look, I think the guy wants something better and we should give him something better. So let me make the money $3,000. So we make the money $3,000. I brought it and gave it to him. He said, look, my brother, I don't want your money. I didn't help you for money. I got two of my brothers that are outside Ghana. It could be them that this thing happening to. And so I'm not working for pay. You can have your money, thank you.
Wow.
I've never seen such thing before. Since I left, I remember that name, Addison. And so every time I came to Ghana, because it took me some years to come to Ghana. So one time I went to Ashama police station to look for this Addison. Nobody knows him. Because I only know Addison, I don't know the first name. So every time I see a policeman or I see a group of security personnel in Ghana, I ask them, do you know one Addison? In fact, in Liberia, UNMIL, the UN people that came to Liberia for peace, Ghanaians, Nigerians, people from all walks of life, the police and the military observer, they live in my compound. They were my tenants, renting from me. So every time I go to the Ghanaian guy, there was one called Yakubu. He was a policeman.
To ask about him.
To ask about him. Oh, we don't know that name. I got up at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. I always want to look at my phone and see whether WhatsApp or somebody send a message to me. And when I touch my phone, on Facebook, it pop up that President we have conceded defeat. And I said, this is somebody writing something.
You didn't believe it?
It's not a serious thing.
You didn't think it was true?
I didn't believe it.
But it was true?
It was true. So early morning, before I got up, my phone is buzzing. Congratulations, congratulations. And then I went back on Facebook. Then I listened to the broadcast. And President Weah was speaking, and he conceded defeat. It gave the country a better climate. It makes us a set apart in Africa. And we want to be an example to other African countries that look, power is like a borrowed coat.
Power is like a borrowed coat.
A borrowed coat.
Right.
And so at this point, you have the coat, you wear it, and if it's over, you get it off and somebody else's take it. You can always try. And so he did well for the country. He set the country up in terms of democracy. I think he did extremely well. And so every Liberian congratulates that was good on his part.
And that has placed Liberia on a certain pedestal now, democratically speaking. Because like I said, in the aftermath of that, I mean, post that, I kept speaking about it for weeks. I was just so happy that he had done that. And, you know, the electoral result was on a knife's edge.
Definitely.
A knife's edge, basically. Definitely. It was slim.
20-some thousand votes.
He could have easily decided,
Definitely.
you know, I'm not going to agree, there was this and that. He just let it go.
I agree with you.
How much of an example do you think that sets for, especially our sub-region? And look, there are coup d'etats going on in certain places because they feel the democratic leaders are not doing the right thing. No one is supporting military interventions in politics. But sometimes there are constitutional coups and the right things are not done. How much of a lesson is that for our African leaders, especially in the sub-region?
I was told that President, we have gone for the last African ECOWAS meeting also in Nigeria after he conceded defeat. And he got a rousing applause from all the African leaders in the room.
Deservedly so.
Telling him thank you and congratulations and whatever. I guess it's sinking down to some of them. Now look, I wish I had done what President Weah did.
Yeah.
Maybe today I would be
celebrated.
It's a celebrity and people will look up to us. And I want to encourage all African leaders and leaders in the world. A democratic process is a democratic process. When you are defeated, concede and let somebody else take over. You can still be a part of the process. You can still make a comeback. You could contribute in different ways. Because look, this world we live, we are all strangers.
Yeah.
You don't know at what point. Today could be my last day speaking to you. And tomorrow I could be no more. I got it this morning and a statement, a permanent person from my region. Somebody just texted me this morning. I spoke to him on Saturday. Today is Monday. He called me on Saturday. I'm a Methodist. That the Methodist conference is going on in Buchanan, and the bishop was asking for me. And I said, no, I'm in Morocco. I'm on my way to Ghana. And so I'm not there. Tell the bishop I'll miss this conference. When I come, I will reach out to the leaders of the church. And I was told this morning that he died. His former representative, he was just defeated in these going elections. His name is Honorable Johnson Weglo, a permanent statesman, elderly man, respectable person. So you don't know what tomorrow is.
This
There's
life
no
is
need
very
to
transient.
fight. No
Very
need to
transient.
fight, yes.
Very transient. On the back of all of this, just a quick thought. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is still alive. George Weah is still alive. Joseph Boakai is president, you are vice president of Liberia. Are you going to tap into their knowledge? I mean, moving forward, because it's collaborative, right? You are in power now, but do you think you'd be willing to get ideas to move Liberia forward?
Oh, definitely. Look, people who try, and if there was some mistake, I use the word if there was some mistake during their tenure, sometimes they wish if they had the opportunity to correct those mistakes. Those are places you need to tap in as leaders coming on. So at a certain point you want to talk to them, hear from them. Oh yes, even the day of inauguration, President Sirleaf, President Weah, and President Boakai, the three of them had their hands up, and there was a photo shoot, which was good for our country. And we also can assure the country that by 2029, if Ambassador Boakai is defeated, we equally concede and let the country move forward.
Right.
We can assure you that.
Right.
But we are doing everything to make sure Ambassador Boakai retains his seat.
Right.
But if for any reason we are defeated, we will definitely concede.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. And you would likely be celebrated the same way George Weah was celebrated. My final bit to you, and we end the conversation, and I'll take your closing remarks as well. So the civil wars that have happened, I've told you, for example, my family was stuck in the first Liberian civil war. Now we're looking at a new Liberia. What do you feel are the lessons that have been learned from the civil war, and what would a future Liberia look like under Joseph Boakai and Jeremiah Kong? That's my final bit to you.
So the first thing, the war started as a war to remove President Doe from power at the time,
Chief Sergeant Doe,
who were believed to be a dictator, who was believed to have also rigged the election in 1985. And that war turned into a tribal war.
Yeah.
And so there were major tribes having rebel factions. So if you take, for instance, those of us that come from Nimba, we were the MPFL or IMPFL, we were dominating that group. Though there were other people, but we dominated that group. Though I haven't fired a gun before, I was never a rebel, and up to today I've never fired a gun. I'm never a soldier before in my life. And so, but I come from that group, so our people were dominating in that group. The another group is the Mandingos. There's a tribe in Liberia called the Mandingos. The Mandingos also felt marginalized, and so they formed a group. At first it was Ulimo, and later it became Le Rebel. Then there's another group that is bordering with us too, that is the Crown group, the group that President Doe tribal people. They also form another group, Model, and so it became a tribal war, where when this group meet this group, anyone from this group is an enemy to you, and anyone from this group. And so we fought 14 years war. Nobody won. That is to tell you, regardless of how much a group of people are small, no one can erase a group of people from the face of the earth. Regardless of what you do, they will always exist. And so we understood that. We fought, we hurt ourselves, we killed ourselves, we destroyed our country, and we think it's now time to move forward and build our country. And that's why democracy is the way forward. And going forward, any of us who are politicians that will be defeated at the ballot will accept the result and move forward.
Right. Thank you, Jeremiah. Final words, Mr. Addison.
Sir?
Any final words you'd like to share with us?
Oh, first of all, I want to thank His Excellency for the honor done. I cannot quantify it in that $3,000 that he wanted to give me. It's not even more than that $3,000. I thank you very much, Your Excellency, for such a wonderful occasion. My appeal, I'm no more in the police service, but I want to tell my men, the policemen, especially the investigators, that anytime they receive a case, they should give equal platform. They should not be judgmental. They should make sure that they sit down, get all the necessary information before they forward the case to court. That's my humble appeal. Money should not be an issue, but one day, when they do the right thing, they are also going to enjoy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
They say the evil men do lives after them, but the good men do also lives after them. And even if not you, sometimes someone close to you. This has been an exciting conversation about, yes, politics and current happenings and leadership, good governance in Africa, if you like, but also about honesty being the best policy and learning to treat people as what they are, human, just as we are. It doesn't matter whether the person is Nigerian, Nigerian, Liberian. The person is a human being, and that's the bottom line. Jeremiah, thank you so much for joining the conversation. His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, Jeremiah Kong. We've also had joining the conversation Mr. Emmanuel Eko Addison, who was a police officer. He's no longer with the police service at the time in 2000. This has been another installment of AM Exclusive with yours truly. Thank you so much for watching us as we've come to you today from, yes, you can see this garden, this beautiful setting, the Kempinski Hotel right here in Accra.
Welcome back on the AM show, and it's time now for us to take you for a bit of a spin, a bit of a ride. Where are we taking you today on AM on Wheels, the Lejokuku constituency? And we'll be hearing from constituents on what their pertinent issues are. Standing by on the ground, Sweetie Abochi, my co-host. Sweetie, if you can hear me, what have been these interactions? What do you have to share with us?
Specifically at the community-based health and planning services, popularly known as the CHIPS compound. The situation here is that this facility, since it was built, completed somewhere in 2016-17, it hasn't been open for public use yet. I'm here with some residents of Lejokuku, specifically in the Teshinungwa enclave, and this is a citizen's microphone, so I'm going to hear the story as is from the mouth of one of the residents of this place. Good morning, madam. Thank you for joining us. We know that this place was built for the community, and due to some circumstances, which is coming out as a party place for NDC and NPP, it is not open yet for public use. What is the story behind this facility, as you know it?
I would like to express myself well in our language, our local language. Cheap compound ne is under Honorable Sena Redeem na ama. He was MPA by MPAT. Bia na cafe yisi office ni wole. Ake was city MPA force wa hu ni sani agie jeme koni cheap compound de mambi fe ni yakucho nemi. E na he se jake come to in general kete a hu tebi bia no kani bie cheap compound ko be bie ne hospital ko be bie ne.
Please hold on. So she's saying that this place was built for the community. The only hospital here is Lekma, right? And this was built to augment the services that Lekma Hospital provides to the community. So this is the only CHIPS compound they have in the entire constituency. Go on.
Yeah. No, he was 2 weeks ago. City MPFA Jomakashin, a bag belena, Benny Baffeni, Bekebi, Yeme, Hime Fe, Amebanyana, Ameyamiku. Benny Wana Police if we came me, a baby and ake, order from above. I make plain about Billy compoundena. I make plain about Billy compoundena. It was city MP denche baby and no one like city MP a tree can hospital and no akashi sanagbele na. I may stop like a nibi nekeba, a bed nekeba, nibi nekeba, fair free screening na fair. Health insurance free na fair BNF. Yeme ni batolai ni sana menkomebe health insurance. Menkomebe bi ni banye na me fair health insurance yami. It was city MP. Hana fele free beni ba fe ni many beme ni ba wa me na ba fe na kan be fa me ba na he say I can order from above wale he na can order from above eje.
Okay, so 2 weeks ago the sitting MP wanted to open this place up for community use, but some policemen came to lock the place up, and they say it is order from above. She says that she knows that the MP is passionate about this facility because of the services that they are anticipating that it will provide and the help it will provide to the community residents. But as we speak, it's been locked because, according to her, the police said it is order from above. But before we come back to you, we are also joined by some members of the NPP and NDC, an assembly member, party communicators. Please join me. You can now all join the conversation now. This issue is not about parties anymore. It's about the community. We know that this facility was built for the people. Regardless of your party's affiliations, what is the situation? Why has this facility been locked up as we speak? When we know that there are equipment in there, the place has been, well equipped to start providing some services to the people. What is the situation? What is stopping this place from being open up for the citizens?
It's a very big question. It's a political question. I'm Seth Atto, concerned chairman of the NDC. Like you rightly indicated, this facility has been completed way back 2016. I think it was constructed from the dashes made from appointees under John Mama. And so it was well completed. The allegation out there is that it's not well lighted. You can see all electrical addition has been actually connected to the national grid. That's the meter there. Since 2016, when the NDC lost power, this facility has been abandoned. It actually been handed over to the Health Directorate. They were operating here as a weighing center.
So it was open at some point and operating as a weighing center.
Regime. And they handed over to election actually the EC, the Electoral Commission, to be using this place venue as office. The assemblyman together with the community for them to ensure that they move the Electoral Commission from this venue. So the municipal health director, she wrote to the member of parliament to help secure equipment to operationalize this place. I think I have copies of it on my phone. The MP, in a very passionate way, supplied the said equipment. The municipal health director invited the MP to an opening ceremony. You know, the MP has been going around conducting health screening exercises across the constituency in all the 12 electoral areas. So the MPs decided that, okay, then they should add the health screening exercise to this particular venue. So that on the day of the health screening exercise, the municipal health directorate can conduct its operation to open this place. As we speak, the MP provided 4 electronic beds.
Are they in there right now?
They are with the health directorate. All the related medicine equipment, we have a photocopy machine, we have lab equipment, we have other polytank, and in fact, air condition. We used to have an air condition here. When they actually left the place, one of the unit committee members of the NPP has taken the air condition to his house. These are the people, you know, this is a facility which is fully completed. It's fully completed, handed over to the health directorate. It's only left to its operationalization. Who must operationalize it is a duty of the government, together with the assembly. The MP has provided all the necessary equipment, and that must be done.
I'll come back to you. You are communicating for the government, the MPP and sitting government. They're saying that you are the ones orchestrating this blockage. You're the ones. You're playing some sort of games with the people. What is your story from your point of view, and why is this facility locked up as we speak and not open for the public?
I feel very sad. My house is just a stone throw away from here.
Please introduce yourself first.
Wisdom Donko, the MPP constituency secretary, and also a member of government. So you can imagine a government that is concerned about the health of its people. We cannot lock this place up. We can never do.
But it's locked.
Madam, let me give you the story. As he said, governance is their own.
Please allow him to get his points through. Allow him to get his points through.
Governance is an ongoing business. So even the previous government says something, does something, and you come and continue. You see all these walls and even the ceiling, electrical works were done by the MPP government. The former MP, Honorable Dr. Bernardo Koboy. This building was there true when we came, but all these auxiliary things were not there. As at the time that it was used for weighing, however, when you have some projects coming up and there's an agency, you try to push it up. We live in a community or a constituency where the challenges are enormous. At a point in time, the assembly, which necessarily not be the MPP government, but the assembly thought it wise that one of government agencies had a challenge whereby they gave it out. But that same assembly, as at last year, relocated that agency to move and contracted a contractor to.
Why did they ask the assembly to move?
That's what I said. Governance is a continuous process. There were some challenges and certain things to be made. As you look at the walls, they are freshly painted. It is painted by the assembly. It should tell you that the assembly, a true government, is in a process to open this thing up. For whatever happened, for whatsoever happened, everyone in this community will hear that the member of parliament has done posters that he has built a project and is coming to commission. A commissioning that he was invited to. But the health director herself, unfortunate as a public servant, that you cannot be a health director whereby you are aware that the government with the assembly had given contract for the place to be renovated, and you go ahead to say that you are come to commission something. Then the municipal chief executive asks the health director that has the place been, as we speak, get into the night, this place is still light out. There's no electricity in it. Because the assembly has not.
But he just said that the electricity is.
It is the assembly which has just done. But as we speak, I can still. There is no light. It is now being fixed. It is now being fixed. All we are telling the people of Camp 2, that we can assure them in the shortest possible time, not less than 2 months to come, they will see this place being operational.
Hold on.
It's not a biscuit shop.
Wait, I'll come back to you. So I want to talk to the residents. Madam, please come. Madam, okay, are you a resident? All right. So we have some community members. We've heard from both the MPP and the NDC, but we have the residents here themselves, and we want to understand. Now, the sitting government is saying that they are working to open the place. NDC, are saying that this place was operational. They've even used it for as a weighing center, and it was the sitting government, the NPP specifically, that came to lock it up for their own reasons. Was this place operational? Did you see lights and other facilities, AC, well equipped to accommodate residents and provide the services that it is built to provide? And why do you think, or do you know, that it was locked up? Tell us your story.
All right, so I'm a resident of this community. At first, what I know is that this building has been in existence, but it wasn't, its auxiliary and everything wasn't added to it. Okay, so what we know as a constant is that for a fact, regardless of what the NPP and NDC are doing, is that when this building was being used by the Electoral Commission some time ago, but what we heard was that, what we got to know that it's a chips compound. So we started asking questions that why is that a chips compound? It is being occupied by.
Hello, we need to hear your stories. Please, let's be cordial.
Yes. So what we heard is that we started asking questions that why is it a chips compound that is being occupied by an agency which is not under the health. So we got to realize that that agency has been moved out from here. And what we know is that the agency or this place is going to be added up for it to run its chips compound. Now, the time we realized, we said that we had a member of parliament coming to commission the place. Frankly speaking, as a resident, I was very happy. So we started asking ourselves these questions. We started asking ourselves that if a compound or a chips compound is going to be commissioned, meaning it should be operationalized. Everything is coming to happen. There are nurses coming. There are materials coming up. Nurses are coming. Doctors are coming. Everything is going to be added up for it to be commissioned. But what we got to realize from the assembly was that this project, okay, this project hasn't been handed over to them. Everything hasn't been done. So on the day of commission, we had scaffolds and a whole lot of things going on politically. So we started asking ourselves questions and trying to find out the truth of this matter. And for a fact, as a concerned citizen or as a resident, and what I know is that if something is going to be commissioned, then that thing is going to be operationalized.
All right, I'll come back to you. But as we speak, we just saw that the gate has been unlocked. So hello, gentlemen. Who unlocked the gates right now? Okay, so you have the key.
How can he get the key?
Wait, hold on.
I did. That's not the problem. It's wrong. No, how can he have the key? It's lawlessness.
So
this is lawlessness.
Let's go inside and see for ourselves. Let's go.
You hold key to government facility.
Why? No. Why? You have key to government facility. Wait, don't.
This is. We are trying to see for ourselves if the place is fully equipped and ready for use and why it's been locked. Hello, gentlemen. Right. So, you are the one who opened the gate. Please, come. Come. Were you here when the place was locked?
Yes, I was here.
What were the reasons that were given for the place being locked up?
Good.
Well, so those are scenes from the Lejokuku constituency and that chips compound coming into sharp focus. Is there anything even there? That's the question. This country never fails to amaze you, but we'll bring you more of that when my colleague Sweetie Abochi gets back to us in the studios and, of course, puts together more on that discussion. But right now, we come back into the studio for a conversation. We're heading to Efutu. And I'm sure you're thinking, Alexander Afenyomarkin, on the back of some of the things that have happened. But a man who means to unseat him, take over, and do better things for the Efutu constituency joins me in the studio. James Kofi Annan is the National Democratic Congress's parliamentary candidate for Efutu. He's going to share his vision with us and more. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you join the conversation. This is about the second time this year, or was the last time last
December. I was here in December.
It was in December.
On completely different thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The advocacy you embarked
on.
How is Efutu?
Well, Efutu ordinarily...
And maybe I think it's only fitting. When was the last time you were there?
I am always there.
Okay.
I live there. I've lived all my life there. If I'm not around, it means I just travel for...
So coming here today, you came literally from...
I came right from Winneba to this place.
Right.
So I'm always there. I've never left the place.
Right. What's your constituency like?
Well, ordinarily we should, everything should be fine. Ordinarily, we are gearing up for our festival, our Bochi festival in May. So, we should be fine. But there are a lot of things that are happening politically which we should all be worried of. And last week, I'm sure you heard of my press statements around the issues that are happening in the Efutu constituency. And I believe that you and I and everyone watching us should be worried about the things that are happening. If the NDC has not restrained itself, I'm sure you would have heard of serious violent confrontation in the Efutu constituency. And
why?
Well, there are a series of issues, and I'm sure we may have time to go into the details. But let me start with the just ended assembly elections, where we know the assembly elections had nothing to do with the military hierarchy in this country. It's just the police, prisons, immigrations who were supposed to police the elections. But we saw in the Efutu constituency military men coming to brutalize ordinary persons who were just exercising their right to vote for the assembly aspirants. And we heard of issues of a known MPP person who brandished knife to...
Did you capture this on video or anything?
Yes, we have evidence. We report. In fact, even yesterday, the case was called in court, where a known MPP person actually pulled a knife on two journalists. One journalist from Nice FM, another journalist from the Radio Gold, and demanded their variables, including money, and warned that he can kill them and nothing will happen to them, to him. And to date, until I held my press conference, this issue never went to court. So a lot of things...
So you're saying it went to court on the back of your press conference?
Exactly, it went to court. In fact, we actually had to put it on air, last week. And then our people were called, and then I held a press conference. Then suddenly we heard that the case is going to court. So if we had not done that, the case would not even have gone to court. But this is somebody who attempted murder and who actually engaged in armed robbery. He actually robbed them.
This is a very serious crime. I mean, these things are not to be taken for granted because accusations of robbery, the threat to murder, these are very serious crimes, and they come with hefty sentences if one is convicted. So these things you are saying, how sure are you of them? I know the case is being prosecuted in court, but do you have watertight evidence of what you're saying? Yes, we have the
evidence there. I mean, your colleague journalist in Radio Good, his name is Kofi, you can call him into the show. He will tell you his experiences. And then also your colleague Abna Sewa, who was also a victim of this situation. Her money was actually taken, and the person who did that is a known person. When he was doing it, there were a lot of people there. In fact, this was the situation. Money had come there. Somebody has brought a vehicle with money stashed inside, about to distribute to voters during the assembly elections, and these journalists were filming it. That is what brought this confrontation. And you know, journalists, your work is to report what was happening or what is happening. So they were just doing their work, and they were confronted with this very unfortunate situation where they were so traumatized. In fact, when their phones were taken away from them, it took them, I think, 2 weeks or so before they were able to, the police helped them to retrieve the phone from the same person. So there's hardcore evidence on this issue. But because he is a known MPP person.
What role does he play in the MPP?
We have known him to be a close associate of the current MP. That's how we have known him.
Must all of this always be tied to the Member of Parliament?
That is what you know.
But that's what you know.
Yeah, that is what we know.
Who told you this?
No, have you forgotten that I was from the MPP before coming to the NDC? So I know, when I know a situation, I know it. So, and no one can deny it. Everybody knows that Adams is an MPP person. He's an MPP activist. Everybody knows. It's a common knowledge. You know, you don't need any other evidence to show that he's a known MPP person. You see? So these are some of the things. Assuming the NDC masked up and confronted him, what would have happened? You know, assuming when the army officer slapped an NDC branch executive member and he fell down, and the NDC decided to mass up against the army officer who was then in the company of the MP, what would have happened?
So chaos could have ensued.
Exactly.
This matter in court. So who basically reported? Was it you?
I reported. The victims also reported. I reported.
The victims being the journalists.
The journalists reported, yes.
Right.
They reported to the police, and I also reported as somebody who is a key stakeholder in the constituency.
As an interested party.
Exactly.
Where specifically? Which court is this being prosecuted?
They sent them to Sedru yesterday. That's what I am told happened. Because we don't have, I think there's one court that is not in Winneba, so they had to take the case to court. We have a district court and then we have a high court, but we don't have the one between. I've forgotten the name. In Winneba. So I'm told that they took the case to court in Sedru. But that is not the only issue during the assembly elections. Just imagine, without reading the CI that establishes the assembly elections, an election that is delayed, profusely delayed, to 8 p.m. What do you think ordinarily should happen? Something that should have started at 7 a.m. For whatever reason, delayed up to 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
2 p.m.
Right. By which time voting should have actually ended.
Almost.
Per the EC's whatever reforms.
Exactly.
But that didn't necessarily happen because in some places it went still late. But you go ahead.
Yes, but if you delay an election, even if the law says 5 p.m. and you are supposed to start at 7 a.m. and you delay up to 2 p.m., the common sense thing to do is to postpone it to the next day or to any other day. But here
Which happened in some instances.
In some instances it happened. But here in the Ifutu constituency, we saw when the EC was bringing its materials, it came in the company of MPP activists. And they insisted
hold it. These are, sometimes I always want to. You say the EC was coming where?
You see, according to the reports, the report from the EC itself, the election delayed in that particular electoral area because there was a mess-up in the voting materials.
Right.
So they were waiting for it. So at a point in time, there was a discussion to postpone the elections. So one of the candidates, who happened to be an NDC sympathizer and his supporters, they said, looking at the time, and the fact that some people might have come from far places, the election needs to be postponed because you have used more than half the time already. So everybody thought that, okay, it's been postponed. So a lot of people started going away, especially because the NDC sympathizer was the one who raised the issue.
But when you hadn't heard from EC officials, postponing it? Why would you assume that it would be postponed without that clarity being brought to bear by officials of the Electoral Commission who can do that, who are mandated to do that?
You see,
in that instance,
whether you have heard from them or not heard from them, I was not part of that electoral area processes.
Right.
But what I am saying is that regardless of whatever happened, elections were supposed to have started, voting was supposed to have started from 7 a.m. and ended whatever time after probably 3 p.m. You are at 2 p.m. What would be the most common sense approach to take?
Well, that wasn't done.
That wasn't done.
Right.
And what are you now telling the people? That because it favors one person or some group of people, you go ahead and conduct it, even though time. And I know you're going to
I'm
ask.
interested in the bit you said about the EC officials coming with some MPP people. I need clarity there. How were these people MPP people?
You see, you know that per the laws of this country, these assembly elections are supposed to be non-partisan.
Right.
But we also know that political parties have interest. And therefore,
it is partisan.
Exactly. They look at the individuals contesting who are affiliated or sympathetic to their cause and then try to support them. Now, when the thing was delaying, there was a sharp divide in terms of which way to go, whether to postpone the elections or to go on with the elections between the MPP and the NDC. The NDC was saying that, look, we see a lot of our supporters going away because of fatigue. So let's postpone it. The MPP was saying that, no, we won't postpone it and that the election will go on. Now, I am not saying that the EC should have listened to the NDC. Neither am I saying that the EC should have listened to the MPP. But what I'm saying is that regardless of the opinions of the two parties, the EC should have known that at this point when it is 2 p.m., the most sensible thing to do is to postpone the election.
So are you saying by extension, or I mean that the results there were not expressive of the wishes of the people?
At all. The whole elections in the Efutu constituency, as far as this assignment is concerned, is not reflective. And if I have the time, I can take you through why
we can't go through all of that. That would have to be another conversation. But you are interested in the Efutu seat?
Yes, I'm interested.
You are representing the NDC in Efutu, and you are going toe to toe with Alexander Afenyo Market.
Yes.
Right? Who has now become the majority leader.
Yes.
That's quite a force to reckon with. You've tried that seat before, right?
Yes.
You've tried that seat before. And you feel there's intimidation and that you're being harassed in a certain way. Tell us about it.
Okay, so there's no seat that is not winnable by any of the parties in this country. Although
I don't think I suggested that, but yes. I'm just saying that it's a tall order.
It is not a tall order. If we are playing by the rules, this is a seat for the NDC. NDC has held the seat 4 times. The MPP has held it 3 times. 4 times also, because we had the OCJ announcing the seat in 2004. So the MPP has also announced the seat 4 times. So which means that seat can be won.
There's a balance.
Exactly, by anyone. And it doesn't matter whatever position you hold. Remember that the last time the NDC held the seat, it was being held by a cabinet minister. And the cabinet minister lost. There was a majority leader in parliament in Tema who lost a seat whilst he was a majority leader. So
this means basically nothing. The fact that you don't feel threatened by the fact that he's even moved from deputy majority leader to become majority leader now.
At all. Look, let me tell you something. I am not an MP. I've never held a ministerial position before. I've never taken a contract from government before. But if you come to Winneba, which is the same as the Futu constituency, I have consistently been the highest employer of the youth in the area.
What do you employ them in?
I employ them in many ways. I have companies, I have businesses that I run there.
Businesses that do what?
I have a radio station, for instance, that employs people.
I just want you to.
You know, I've established a restaurant that employs people. I have a football club. I'm the only person in the constituency, an individual, who is building a whole stadium in the constituency.
Wow. Where is this happening?
Yeah, it's in Winneba. I have a whole stadium that is under construction. You get it? So I have done a lot without having been given any power or government contract or even ministerial appointment. If you put that on aside, I have consistently, for more than 20 years now, sent a lot of youth to the universities, sponsoring them through scholarship, training them, so many ways. And through me, a lot of people are now gainfully employed. If you come to...
If you had to quantify, about how many people do you feel you've employed over the years?
Well, let me talk about people I've employed today. Right now, regardless of the intimidation, the distraction of my businesses and all of that, at least I have 300 people on my payroll as I speak to you now.
300?
300 on my payroll. There is not even a single person, no single person, whether you are an MP or you've been a minister or whatever it is, that has even half of that number. So I'm linking that to before anyone became an MP. What were they doing? And even
so your suggestion is that, let me speak tree. When you're MP, now be MP. So you're not the MP yet, but you feel if you were given the opportunity, you could do more. There are others who also say that Alexander Afenyo-Markin is doing amazing things for them in the constituency.
What is he doing?
Some of them also talk about jobs, I've heard people talk about he's creating jobs, he's supporting the youth in the constituency.
What jobs?
How do you react to that?
What jobs?
I do not have the details, but how do you react to that?
So he is helping a lot of youth through whatever means, whether protocol, I don't know what that means is, to go to immigration, army, prisons, fire service, etc. That is what I know is the phrase there. But which government comes to power and don't send people to immigration? Which government comes to power and doesn't send people to the police? So that is not job creation. That is government job or public service that every government, even the most quote-unquote useless government, will send people to the police, will send people to the prisons, to immigration, etc. We're talking about galvanizing people to production and productivity in the constituency. You keep on giving money to the people all the time, probably to vote for you, or probably to do businesses, and it is not working, and you keep on giving them money. It is because the fundamentals are very weak. When I give you money to go and do trading, and where I have given you the money to do trading, there is no production there, there's no work going on. Who is going to have the money to come and buy the things that you are going to sell in that area? So what we need in the Futu constituency is not the provision of 1,000 Ghana cedis, 5,000 Ghana cedis, just doling it out to individuals to go and do what they call, go and do small businesses and so on and so forth. Yes, we need things like Maslog, we need things like LEAP, we need all those things. But we need a productive base.
What will you do differently in that regard? If given the nod, what will you do differently?
The Futu constituency has a big potential for a factory to be located there.
What kind of factory?
If you locate a fish processing factory, it's going to be boom, because we know what we do.
Yeah.
See, so that is one easy way that will galvanize the base or the productive energies of the people. A Futu constituency is blessed with a university that is also a center of a town that links to Sedru, Agona West, links to Mankasim, Infantiman, links to Kaswa. So if we have, and you know, Winneba Junction is also there.
Yeah.
So if we have a market, a big market in the Futu constituency, you are going to now direct traffic to the constituency. And that is one way of now galvanizing the people for productive ventures. The Futu constituency also has other potentials in agriculture. Unfortunately, the land that the farmers would have used for agriculture is being grabbed by the same crop of people that we know. But we still have a lot of potential in agriculture. Even though we don't have a lot of rains in Ifutu as we will have in forest areas, if we plan well and have irrigation, because we have access to the Ayesu River, etc., we can easily become the vegetable hub of central region. So these are all potentials that can be harnessed. And I have done it already, so I know how to do it.
But the incumbent, the person in power, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, are you saying he's doing nothing in the constituency?
I am not saying he's doing nothing, and I'm not here to discuss him or to speak for him. But I'm not saying he's doing nothing. But I am told that he says he has established 14 public libraries. The question is, how many of the libraries are even open? And is that the priority of the constituency?
How many of the libraries do you know are open?
As far as I'm concerned, the only library that is open currently is the public library we know long ago when I was a student. That's the only library. The rest are all locked up. Because, you know, that is technology, we are changing, you know, and the way of learning is also changing. Students, even when you situate the library inside the school, you have to motivate them in order to go.
All right, so there are definitely changes you want to bring on to bear. For the sake of time, I'd like to find out, you also feel intimidated, threatened. You speak of things that have happened to your billboards in recent times. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yes, that's one of the things that I spoke about in my press conference last week, that the MPP through the District Assembly is engaging in extreme provocations, where even though I have paid for billboards, they have persistently and consistently cut down nearly all my billboards that I use. No, the billboards were supposed to be commercial, but I also use them for my campaign. They cut them down. And after cutting them
down, literally cut down?
Yes, they cut the billboard down.
Off the banner? What is it?
They cut the entire structure down. They cut it.
Did you go through the right processes to mount the billboard?
Exactly. I have receipts. I can even send you some of the receipts right here if my phone is on.
From which entity?
From the District Assembly. I have receipts, you know, with all those permits, everything. I have everything. In fact, the billboards I'm talking about, in 2016, when I was with the MPP, the MPP itself, Afenyo-Markin himself, used my billboards for free. I gave it to him for free. I gave him about 8 or 7 billboards for free, without paying anything. Now, they cut the billboards and erect their own billboards in place of my billboards.
When you say they, whom are you referring to?
I'm talking about the MPP.
How do you know? How do you know they were the ones?
No, but the billboards that are now erected bears the face of the incumbent MP.
Alexander Afenyo.
Exactly.
So you feel they were behind it?
Absolutely. If my billboards are cut, and then I see the next thing I see is your billboard, then what are you talking about? Then definitely even if you didn't influence it, my assumption is that because the MC is an MPP person, he might have done it to favor the MPP. You see, and in some case, the same billboard that was cut is the same billboard that was re-erected, and the posters pasted on it.
So tell me, how many billboards of yours have been cut
So far, I have about 40.
40 billboards?
Exactly. We have the bigger one, the big billboards. We're talking about 11 of them, and then the rest are the small ones.
How much did all of this cost you, and how much loss are you?
Several thousands of CDs.
Give us an estimate.
It will be very, very rough for me to give you an estimate, but at least we're talking about 200,000 Ghana cedis worth of billboards.
200,000?
Yes, at least. But these are billboards that I didn't just erect them.
Okay.
I built them over the years, from 2008, 2009 onwards.
My final bit to you, I have to cross over back to my colleague, Sweetie Abochi, who is in the Lejokuku constituency. My final bit to you, you are chair of the Communications Committee of the NDC in the Central Region. We've seen how the Central Region swings. How do you think it will go in election 2024 with Mahama as candidate?
Yeah,
1 minute on that.
Yes, Mahama is winning the Central Region. Mahama.
Are you looking at a crystal ball and saying it? Is it based on statistics?
No, the Central Region will reward Mahama. They've seen the wrong that they've done to Mahama, and they will reward him for the good things that he did for the region. Remember that Mahama gave Central Region 11 polyclinics, the highest number of hospitals built by one president. In fact, the whole Central Region, you cannot count one polyclinic built by the MPP. 11 polyclinic by...
They have agenda 111.
Well, I'm not seeing any one of them in the Central Region. Mahama gave the Central Region 18 senior high schools, the community-based senior high schools, 18 of them. By the time he left office, Mahama had commissioned 10 of them. It is Mahama that gave us the Kaswa interchange, remember. It is Mahama that gave us the Kotokoraba market in Cape Coast. So, even without talking about the sugar factory.
So you feel Mahama is going to take the Central Region?
The Central Region will fall to Mahama, and the Central Region will reward Mahama for the good things that he did.
Well, election 2024 will determine that. Voters can be a very tricky affair. But James Kofi Annan, thank you for joining the conversation this morning. He is the NDC's parliamentary candidate for the Efutu constituency. His opposite number is Alexander Afenyo Marken. But let's go back to the Lejokuku constituency where Sweetie Abochi is standing by. You saw the raucous atmosphere there. We're going back to that conversation, AM on Wheels, and that's how we'll cap off our interaction with you for today. Back to you, Sweetie.
What is the way forward?
I don't know. I don't know who locked it. Come again. My name is Eric Ayi Odonko, immediate assembly member for the area.
Immediate pass.
Immediate pass, yeah. I don't know who locked the place, and actually I don't know what is going on, because last time I heard that there was a kiosk here about commission, and then time I was the assembly member because the current assembly member was not sworn in. So if something like so, they should have contacted me or they should call me, because I'm the member of the area, for me also to have an idea what is going on. But nothing of that sort. As we speak now, I was in the house, you can see, I'm in the black. I'm going for mortuary, understand? And I was called upon, and I need to flash here and see what is going on. That is why you see me here. So, what?
Well, it appears that the residents are very angry, but let's see if we can help them restore some calm so we continue the conversation. Ladies, hello. Listen, the purpose of this gathering is so that we understand the way forward. So please, I understand that you're upset, but we need to find a way forward. That is why we have both parties here. If you say this is just party games, let's understand, okay? Raising your voices and screaming at each other will not solve the problem. All right. So the assemblyman was making a point that he just left office. He didn't understand why this place was locked up, and he says that they said it was sold, but you don't have any evidence of that, do you?
Come again.
Did you say it was sold? Okay. What points were you making before we came into
the point I'm trying to make is we try to renovate this place, but we have not finished to hand over the keys to the Health Directorate. So I was there the last time. I heard there was something going on here that the MP want to commission the place, and there was misunderstanding between the both parties, that is MPP and DC. And when it comes to commission such a project, it's the responsibility of the MCE to do that. If what they are claiming that the MP is coming to commission this place and our people are preventing them from doing that, they should contact the MCE, because it is their responsibility, or the MCE is the one who's supposed to do the commission.
So you confirm that there was a renovation. Hold on. So you are confirming that there was actually a renovation?
Yes.
When was this?
Come again.
When was the renovation?
If I could recall, about somewhere
it wasn't renovated. You can see a renovated. Look at the place.
Please. When you were talking, I didn't talk. Yes, so don't interrupt. Listen to me.
You have not been able to tell when they renovate.
Wait. I don't want to say anything that go out and it's not true.
This locks.
The
locks are not.
You know me and you were fighting for this place.
So if we are
don't tell me that this place is not renovated.
We were fighting.
No. But you know that the place is being renovated.
When was it renovated?
For whatever it's worth, he's the immediate past assemblyman. Let him have his say, and then we'll come back to you. Yes, I understand, but let him finish. Let him finish his point, and then we come to you. All right.
He knows whatever I've done.
Please conclude.
So what I want the whole Lejokuku or the whole world know that it is the responsibility of the MCE to do the commission, not the MP.
You see, they are getting it wrong. It's not about commissioning the place. The place has already been commissioned in 2016. And the only problem, and it was handed over to the health directorate, and they started using the place. But they said they need equipment to keep the place in full operational. When it gets in there are maternity wards, there are a female and male ward. Inside there, please let me finish. Exactly. The problem as a health directorate was the facilities or the best thing to start the place running. The health director has written to the assembly for the assembly to provide equipment. The assembly has not been able to do it. The same health directorate have written to Honorable Dr. Koboy when he was the deputy. Please let me finish. When he was the deputy minister of health, the place was still.
Well, boiling scenes from the Lejokuku constituency. We'll bring you more of that in our subsequent bulletins. But that's how we cap off the AM show. Up next, Joy News Desk with Aisha Ibrahim. Stay for that.